yeah. Wow, I actually had something to contribute on a
You,
technical
Kai,
issue.
have earned your IT merit badge for the night. You get to take a drink.
Yep, no
Goddamn
one
right
can
I
take
do.
that away from you.
Goddamn right I did.
I see the
Whoa, now
inside of
there's
a ship.
4 go lives, and I'm seeing the side of a ship. Yeah, we're gonna definitely have to clean up the fucking channel later.
Yeah, this has been the coup de grace with technical difficulties. So those of you that have been
Yeah,
with us,
no, dude, it's
we're
okay.
good,
We'll fix
right?
that.
And you see my Python,
Yes. Okay, so
and, and I don't want to make it
I am
weird,
Yep.
but you
seeing
can see
your
my
ship.
Python, baby.
Oh, hey, wow, I can actually listen to the stream now. Yep. All right. Stream sounds good.
Test 1, 2, 3.
You're gonna have to crawl behind there and disconnect it. Please don't, because I just got all this working. I'm sorry.
All right. Test, test, test.
Yeah, maybe.
All
We'll
right.
talk about it.
So I
I'm
remuted,
currently
so I'm
running
not
the
seeing,
stream. So.
whatever. We are live.
Okay, great.
All right. So let's see. We've got Tangent Revolution in the chat. What up, guys? Hey, Tangent. How you doing, brother? All right. Bear with us for just a moment. We are getting technical stuff set up. For the record, our new so I clicked the like button and someone else clicked like too. All right, everybody click like. Let's spread this shit. So we're just getting set up with the new sort of situation of our awesome technical producer, audiovisual extraordinaire person, Commander Fee, is going to be doing the actual streaming hosting duties through the channel. I am going to get to do what I do, which is just kind of keep track of the community for the week and then just talk, because me being involved in anything on the technical aspect is a huge pain in the ass for me, and B, I think I do a pretty piss poor job of it, so it's better for Fee to actually handle
Yeah,
all that.
and real quick, guys, just those of you that are listening through YouTube or elsewhere, give us a sound check. Let us know everything is either too loud, not loud enough, and I'll do what I can from my end.
I think it sounded pretty good. I was listening there. I mean, listen
Yeah,
here.
no, I am not right now watching the YouTube chat, Kai. So if you guys can help me out, thank you.
Yep. Fee, talk a little bit.
Talk a little bit. I can sing a little bit. I can talk a little bit.
I mean, I'm sorry, not Fee. Roy, talk a little bit.
Hello, hello, everyone.
All right, hold on one second. We got the delay. Okay. Fee's good. I'm good.
YouTube is happy.
Roy is good. Yeah, everybody's good. Sound levels are good. All right, fantastic.
The only other piece is I do have game audio up a little bit. So if that becomes too obnoxious, let me know and I'll turn it down.
All right, so let's sort of get started here. Let's give it a minute and just say hi to people in chat and whatever as people come in and get sorted. Close that.
Is the aspect ratio off on the game video?
It looks like it turned it to square mode instead of like picture box mode or whatever. You know what I mean? Like with standard mode as opposed to letterbox for movies. But I mean, that's
full
fine.
disclosure, guys. Again, we threw all this together tonight. Last minute. And just so everybody is aware, if the game resolution looks whack, it's number one because I typically play on a 3440 by 1440 widescreen, and I'm currently playing on a smaller window because I also picked up a Rift S today. So I have been before all of.
We'll save that. We'll save that. We're going to get into it
before all
for
of
sure.
this fun and games tonight with the technology, I had my own fun and games with technology on top of that. So apologies if things look stupid. It will get better, I promise.
Hello and welcome to Commander Single Malt Scotty. I love that name, man. Single Malt Scotty. That's good shit, bro.
See, he's got the dual color 07 there.
Yes, but he did it different. He got his like pink or purple or whatever. I'm partially colorblind, guys, so sorry. But I know that in the
one that purple showed, if you had the purple livery
I
scheme.
I thought that it was a green 0 and a
purple 7.
Purple 7. Did I have it backwards this whole time?
I don't know if I have a screenshot of when I had that, so I'm not sure.
Whatever though, it's fucking awesome. Hats off to you, bro. All right. All right, I think we've dispensed with the sort of intros. I want to, so basically kind of what we do, just as a heads up for anybody who's watching this and like, hey man, we're going to start, and for next week, we're going to start right at, guys, what do you think? 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock? Eastern Standard Time. What do you
I'm still
like?
good with
What's
8
better for
o'clock.
you?
Especially, yeah,
Eight's fine
I'm
for
good
now.
with that. And
8
that's
Eastern
correct.
Standard?
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody says 8. Okay, we're going to start from now on. We're going to be on a regular schedule. Friday nights at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Adjust to whatever time zone you live in, wherever on the planet Earth you live. So we're going to try to make sure that Friday night at 8 o'clock sharp we start. So you guys that get in the first 5 to 10 minutes, we're just going to do warm up, sound checks, yada yada, standard stream shit. And in that, we're going to have sort of the interaction of like, hey, how you doing, Commander Single Malt Scotty? Hey, Tanzan Revolution. We're going to do shout outs and name calls and all of that stuff. Then we're going to roll into the, okay, we're locking it down for the podcast. And then we're going to start with a song, intro song. We're going to do the show, an outro song, and wrap it up for the night. So just as like, I don't want anyone to be like, oh man, they didn't, I showed up to the stream and they didn't even bother to say hi. Like that part is going to be before the song, the intro song, because from then we're sort of in podcast mode and we're going through the script and we're going through the stuff. But we're going to start at 8 sharp Eastern Standard Time. And people can come in, like I said, for the first couple of minutes, and I definitely want to sort of interact with people. We have some new segments that are going to be starting tonight that you guys will hear about. Awesome stuff. We're sort of figuring it out and working the kinks and trying to set this up and trying to make a good product, quality product for you guys. So I hope that you guys will enjoy this as we go on. All right. So I guess everybody good. We did sound checks. We did our hellos to everybody. There's not a lot of people on the stream, but to be honest with you, that's more on us because we start at variable times. But starting next week, it'll be at 8 o'clock sharp. I promise. And if not, then Fee will give you money back to be determined later on how that works, because that's a false promise. All right. Here we go. 6 people watching now. All right, let's get it going. Everybody ready? We're going to start with the song. Everybody in Discord, just go ahead and the crew, just go ahead and mute yourself so the sound comes through nice and clear. Then we'll unmute. I'll do intros and we'll start the show. Okay, and it suddenly become explained to me that you guys weren't hearing the song because somehow I clicked on the elite. I told you guys I'm technically challenged. I clicked and I moved rooms, and yeah, so I'm going
You can only do so much, Kai. Come on, man.
No, I'm restarting this song right now. Hold on
Let's
one
call that a
second.
moment of silence for Kai's days of streaming with OBS.
Yeah, and I literally just hit Control V to paste, and I about pasted the in the Discord. I'm backing out of it now and erasing it, but I almost typed the password for the Elite Week account.
All right,
Okay.
do
So
50
that
Hail
was
Marys after the stream tonight, and we'll call it done.
all right. Let's see here. All right, take 2, and this time the song should play. Type in crew chat if you don't hear the song starting in just like 5 seconds.
Okay.
Right on. That was Elements with Learn to Mine. And that one is dedicated to all my brothers and sisters out there breaking rocks frantically right now, cashing in on those low temperature diamonds. Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. I am Kai Zen, and this is Elite Week Galactic Water Cooler, where we sum up everything that's happened in the world of Elite Dangerous for the week on a Friday night to kick your weekend off and get you started right. Joining me, as always, are my co-hosts and producers extraordinaire. We've got audio-visual engineer Commander Fee. Say hello, Fee.
Everybody. Thanks for joining.
Right on. Fee is streaming for the first time for the show. He's taking those duties away from me because I suck at them. Also joining us tonight are Commander Roy Cookson. Roy, say hello.
Hey everyone, how you doing?
Right on. So I want to address this and get it out of the way. If you hear what sounds like a, I don't know, gun battle going on in the background of my on my recording, it's because I live in Philadelphia, and the entire months of June and July in Philadelphia, they set off fireworks for no fucking reason all weekend long, and that is fun. But as you can hear, I have liquid refreshment, so who cares? How are you guys doing this Friday night? See, Roy, feeling good?
Yeah, doing good. Running some missions for the Dark Wheel as we chat here.
The Dark Wheel. We got news on that coming at you soon. Fee, how are you feeling? I know you've had an interesting day, haven't you, my friend?
Day. You know, it's actually, all things considered, it's been a fantastic Friday. I really don't have anything to complain about, and you know, my my cape and my tights are feeling a little bunchy this evening, but I think I'll work through that through the evening. So looking forward to the rest of the show.
Right on. Well, let's get right into it. So we started off with, Learn to Mine, dedicated to, like I said, all of the people out there frantically getting it in with low temperature diamonds. And let's start right away on topic number one. The headline for the night, the new discovery. The notes will be in the system in the what do you call it, the notes, show notes for the YouTube video, and it'll also be in the Discord or podcast version. But I'm going to just say it out loud this one time: SWOILZ space PK-R space B20-0. This system and ring was discovered by Commander ThatEnglishGent, all squished together. This is a ring with a narrow, low-temperature diamond ×4 band and a fat, low-temperature diamond ×3 overlap. So you've got a skinny 4 overlap that kind of is meh as far as the density of the rocks, and a fat, juicy LTD3 overlap that literally, it puts the old one that everybody was going nuts over for the last 2 weeks to shame. It's got high density. The LTD3, I've seen actually a chart of, and this was, full disclosure, this is, rapid sort of assessment that's been done over the course of about the last 9 hours since it became public. But the fat LTD3 spot is actually probably better than the iffy LTD4 spot. So that fat overlap is choice. In full sort of, like, just before you guys get rushing out there in your cutter, be aware it's like 1,200 whatever, depending on where you're at in the bubble. It's a good jump out there. It's about 3 carrier jumps out to, 3 carrier jumps from the bubble will guarantee you that you hit it. But it is sort of a carrier, it's choice for if you have a carrier or if you are working in the system with people that are doing stuff with the carriers with arbitrage. But If you're just planning on like, I'm going to jump out there and get it and jump back and sell it, you're better off at the existing site.
Yeah,
So
I'm actually pulling it
take
up in
that
the
for
in
what
my
it is.
game just to see where it is in relation to where I'm at, and it doesn't seem that bad. It's only about
Right.
1,100 light years away, but it's definitely something that the storage of the fleet carrier would come in handy for.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. All right. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's address the whole thing. Last week we said, so topic 2, last week we said, hey man, subsurface deposits are they got nerfed, which they did, and they got nerfed maybe a little too much. And, Down to Earth Astronomy had done sort of a video talking about like, hey, side-by-side comparison where he did like a full run on one and a full run to the other. Well, here's the thing with content creation, when you're trying to put something out like right away and get it out so that, it's timely, people are like, hey, I want to know, what are these changes? How do they affect me? This can sometimes happen, and this is not in any way his fault, but this is a situation that occurred. He just had shit luck. RNGesus was not his friend when he did the subsurface run post the nerf and put it up. Subsequently, he went back and did other runs and found that it wasn't as bad as it appeared. It got nerfed a good bit, maybe a third, maybe 40% more at most, but not the 50% that it was looking like. He just had a bad sort of luck run. And this can happen to any of us. And look, nobody does a better job of putting out consistent, high quality content than Down to Earth Astronomy. Astro is a fucking god. So the fact of the matter is he just got screwed by RNGesus, and the long story short, the TLDR version is subsurface deposit mining is still the meta. It is the way to go. So yeah, that's a thing. And there's other things with subsurface deposit mining that we're going to kind of get to a little bit later. Well, we might as well get to them now. There's a patch incoming, and this is something I think you can expect. I would expect it Monday to Tuesday morning. But there's FDev has definitely got a patch coming at us. That is 100% confirmed. When exactly it's going to hit and what exactly it's going to cover are sort of questions to be answered, but there's definitely some things that we've seen. I can tell you from personal experience, LFT926 has had a weird bug, and it seems like, and this is anecdotal, I can't tell you, I don't have access to the server settings, so I can't tell you 100% for sure that this is a thing, but anecdotally to me, it appears that it happened around the time of another event. So I don't know if we're dealing with a post hoc ergo proctor hoc situation where I'm reading something into it that's not the case, or if it is a cause and effect situation. But in LFT 926, we had over 100 carriers a week and a half ago, and then a thing happened. A guy put his carrier up for decommission about a week ago, and since then, no one has been able to jump in to LFT 926 with a fleet carrier, despite the fact that many people have filtered out as they've gotten their stuff and moved along. And it's gone from being a system that had over 100 fleet carriers in it to a system that has now like 20 or less fleet carriers in it, and still no one can get in. So
yeah, I tried just tonight trying to get in. It didn't work.
It's a little weird, but it's a situation where I think it's being caused by a glitch or a bug that is tied to that carrier decom, but it's just one of those things we'll have to see. But Frontier has been definitely made aware of specifically that situation in 926, as well as other situations with fleet carriers not being able to jump into systems that they should sort of be able to jump into. So, that's a thing. Obviously, everybody's noticed livery bugs. There's weird things where your fleet carrier just can't seem to hold on to its paint job for whatever reason. I don't know what to tell you. They're clearly aware of it. They're clearly looking at it. The Thargoid sites have been buggy as shit. Galnet News Digest did a phenomenal sort of coverage on it where they said like, hey, Tharg has decided to help out people with COVID by having an open house. normally you need this item to open the door, but now they'll just open for anybody. Hilarious, top notch. Witherspoon is a fucking god. Um, yeah, so they're aware of all this. In addition to that, we're going to touch this very, very carefully. We're going to, because we do not want to promote exploits on this show at all. But there is a very well known issue that people are having with regard to some shenanigans with low temperature diamond mining and, well, any of the other mining, but low temperature diamond is what you're going to do it with. And we'll just leave it at that. I will say this, though. I have personally spoken with Frontier about the matter. They are absolutely aware. I would expect that little loophole is going to be closing Monday or Tuesday. Maybe, sometimes you try a fix, it doesn't work. You need to try again. Who knows? But get it while you can if you want to get it, because I don't think it's going to be around for long. So, guys, we touched issues 1, 2, and 3 off of the chart, and I've just been rolling because I don't know.
Keep on rolling.
Any input you want to get? Obviously, a big salute by all of us to that English gent. You sir, are a hero for finding the LTD 4-spot is cool in the sense that it's a 4-spot, but more so that Fat 3 is dope.
Yeah, in my opinion, Kai, that just speaks to the fact, and I don't know if it's because of the reroll with the fleet carrier launch or what. It really just speaks to the fact that the possibility for these types of discoveries are out there. I don't remember if pre-fleet carrier anything of that nature had been found. But the fact that people are finding these things really just speaks to, again, what we've talked about over and over again, that we're talking about a game that's by gaming years is becoming long in the tooth, and still yet it is, there are things to be discovered, things to be found, and it's good to see the mining fiends out there, the mining addicts, as I'm now going to start calling them, are finding these things.
Right on, man. Right on. Well said. All right, so let's keep it moving because we've got some meaty stuff to get to here. Topic number 4 on the agenda, meeting Arthur. Arthur told me, the new CM, he did a Thursday night live stream. I told you guys last week he was going to do this Thursday live stream before it was announced, and he did. I also told you that he had experience working for Borderlands. He did Borderlands 3. FPS experience. He's done community management lead. He's taking over as the absolute sort of lead. He's taking over Will's position as Will transitions into a promotion of project management. And they haven't got into discussing that yet, but wink, wink, look for Will to be polishing up his Warhammer skills. That's all I'm saying. But but anyways, getting back to Arthur. Arthur seems like a cool dude. He's Captain Beard on Twitter. He, I don't know, man. It was good stuff on that stream. I was digging the energy. I was digging the stuff. He has been an elite player previous to this. He sort of, I think, sees our side of things and is I don't know, man. I feel like they're continuing the trend of moving in the way of more engagement, and I think there's going to be soon, very, very soon. I can't talk about it details just yet, but very, very soon there's going to be some good stuff to get excited about. Some more information coming, and I think you're gonna dig it. What did you think of Art, man? He's a cool guy, right?
I think it's good to see just the horsepower they're bringing to that whole team, and the level of engagement in a game that, as he mentions, is long in the tooth. They're definitely breathing new life into the whole community engagement. And
don't get me wrong, I'm excited for Art because he seems cool. You guys know I love Bruce. Bruce is my guy. He comes and hangs out in the Discord, and we go collecting mats and mining and just hanging out and chilling and talking. And Tim is super, super awesome and is wonderful. And I cannot wait to sort of get to know him a little bit better. I've already had my sit down with Bruce. I've already had my sit down with Steven. Sit down with Tim will be coming in. Obviously, we're going for art as well. But I will say this. Steven Benedetti, like, you can look on a chart and it's like, oh, well, this person is above this person in this chart, and that person is here, and this person is there. As far as I'm concerned, man, Steven is he is like underrated. He is the gold of this community management team as it pertains to Elite. Like, other people are working here and working there and doing whatever. Steven, man, is just, I feel like right now he is the heart of the CM team for all things Elite, and is like, I love that guy, man. He's good. The whole team, I'm excited, and I don't know. I'm gushing. I'm getting a little silly, so I'm gonna cut myself off. But like, dude, I'm digging where their team is going, man, for sure. All right. So the next topic on the agenda: changes in the Elite Week Discord. I'm sure some people have seen it. I've heard a lot of people say like, "Wow, this is exciting. This looks cool. That looks cool." I've heard from some people that say like, "Man, there's a lot going on there. I was a little intimidated." The point with the Elite Week Discord is I wanted to set it up, and Arson Cross hopped in and helped out with sort of getting a lot of the technical stuff sorted out. If you look under when people join now, it like pesters you as like, hey, you have to go to the airlock first and opt into stuff and tell us about you so that we know that, how do I say, like, oh, I'm a PlayStation player, or oh, I'm a content creator. I want to get, and like you set up, so like, hey, I want to get pinged for this, I want to get pinged for that, so that if you don't want to get pinged for stuff, you don't get pinged. But like, oh, I want to get updates on the Dark Wheel stuff, or I want to know when there's new content that's put out because we have a whole automated thing now under links, share, and promote content feed. There's a content feed that literally pulls up whenever Down to Earth Astronomy posts a new thing, the Burr Pit posts a new thing, Mattias posts a new thing, the AXI does a debrief with Avasasiu, Plater posts something, Guru 951, Alec Turner, Commander Exegius. It pulls Canon's tweets. It's pulling, my tweets. It's pulling just Obsidian Ant, Down to Earth. I think I said already. Like, it's just I'm going through here, and it's like, man, it's pulling all this stuff and setting it up as a sort of a one-stop repository for, like, here's all things Elite in one spot. Go check it out.
Very handy.
We've got a special place where people can post just Elite video links, like if there's something that's not included in that list or whatever, or if someone says, hey man, I want something for engineering on whatever, somebody can post a link to it. We've got Elite Art, non-Elite Art, a memes channel. We've got David's channel, which is literally, I'm going through, I didn't want that one to become like spam or filled with whatever, so I've got that channel locked. I'm the only one that can add to it, but if anyone else wants to add to that channel, it's literally a channel of just David Braben appearances, interviews, different talks that he's done over the years. And if you go to the Elite Videos channel, or if you go to Elite Chat, or you go to Off Topic, and you just post a David Braben, like, oh, you don't have this one, here's a David Braben appearance or a talk or whatever, you can post it there and then ping me, Kaizen, and I will post it to the David's channel. I just don't want that to get overrun with discussions or topics or whatever. So it's just videos, and it's just David Braben in that channel. We've got, ship builds. People link their ship builds. We've got promote your thing, where you can say like, hey man, I'm about to start streaming. We've got all the different voice channels. We've got a music room where you can play the jukebox and hang out with friends. Under Turning the Wheel project, we have, the standing orders, the overview, the frequently asked questions, the text. We've got stuff for people that want to sign up as hamsters, the Rabbit Assault hamsters, and get involved in doing special like Black Ops missions and counter BGS and whatnot. We have a comms channel in there. Wing 1 and Wing 2, and we have a looking for wing channel. So you can post like, hey man, I'm gonna go do like what do you call it? We're gonna go do wing trading, or we're gonna go do a wing slaughter mission or whatever, and you can meet up with people and sort of go in there and do that. We've news channel announcements. There's all kinds of stuff with the Discord, but the best thing, what I like about the Discord is it's all very well organized. So it might look like when it's uncollapsed, it might look like, oh, there's way too much going on there. Just collapse all the channels and you'll see that it literally fits easily on the one screen without having to scroll. So collapse it all and then just go through, and if there's channels that you're not interested at all, if for some reason you just do not want to see the David Braben stuff, just mute that channel. You don't get pinged with stuff unless you ask for it under the roles, and you will get pinged for everything that you ask for. Like, hey man, I definitely want to know when there's a news update, but I don't give a damn about the Dark Wheel stuff. Or hey, I definitely care about the Dark Wheel stuff, but I don't care at all about ship builds. Mute the channels you don't want and use the stuff you do, and hopefully you guys will dig it. Fee, Roy, what do you guys think about
just as you were talking
Discord?
through that, Kai, my first impression is when you started Elite Week overall, your mission was to compile and present everything that you had found related to the game in that week, and I think what you've done with the enhancements to Discord is you've basically done the same thing. You've now taken all those feeds from all the different content creators that we have in the community, and you're now compiling them and automating them and presenting them through Discord to those of us that are members. So I think it's definitely a good thing. I just think you're really starting to build and enhance on what you originally set out to do just with the Elite Week podcast.
Right on. Roy, what do you think?
Yeah, it can look a little overwhelming at first, but it's as you describe it all, it's well organized and just takes a few minutes to find the stuff you want. And I really do like the feed channel. That's a handy one-stop shop.
I'm looking here in the feed channel, and literally, just today, we've got, starting off the day, we've got, Avasa did his AXI debrief, which is always amazing. It's good stuff. Then we've got from we've got Raxla Theories by Matthias, The Whisper in Witch Space. Top-notch stuff. We got Witch Space news from Commander Burr, the Burr Pit, and Obsidian Ant put out an awesome thing, Elite Dangerous, the best places to visit, Wonders of the Galaxy. And it doesn't say anything on here in the description, but I know because I played it. When you when you watch it, he talks about a whole group, and he's like, this is like part 1 of the series, and part 2 we're going to have these other things. It's top notch, and it's neat that he's doing sort of an overview of like, hey, if you're new to the game, here's some stuff to go check out. Here's some Thargoid sites. Here's some, Guardian sites. Here's some like abandoned human sites, like INRA bases and whatnot. And it's really, really, I think, top notch stuff. So I'm digging this, the fact that it just sort of, there's a feed, there's one-stop shopping that will bring you stuff that you didn't even know was out there. And hopefully you might be like, man, I never heard of this Matthias guy, or Matty. I probably pronounced his name wrong, but like his content is phenomenal. So check it out. All right. So we covered that. Next is fleet carrier decommissions. And I've heard this on a couple of different shows. I've heard this said a couple places, like, man, there's a lot of, like, Lave touched on it. I think Guard Freak touched on it. There's been some people that are like, man, I've noticed a lot of fleet carriers getting decommissioned, whatever. And it's almost being said in the sense of like, man, is this showing that like fleet carriers just aren't good, or fleet carriers aren't like whatever? And I got a different take on it, man. I think that this is showing that it's working exactly as intended. Week 1, 10,000 people went out and bought a fleet carrier. Okay. And a lot of those 10,000 people had a very good use for their fleet carrier. They had a plan, they had a budget, they had all this stuff. And they were like, I'm going to go out, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And let's be honest, as Burr said so perfectly on yesterday morning's Breakfast Club, somebody was asking him, like, man, fleet carriers, is it hard? Like, paying, you have to pay? How much do you have to pay? And he pulled up the email and he's like, yeah. He's like, mine, I have to pay like 11 million a week. His has less stuff. I got the full pretty much package because I'm using it to support the Dark Wheel stuff. He's using it for a different use case. And in my very, very highly inclusive package where I got a ton of stuff, mine's like, 21 million. But it's like, he says flat out in that Breakfast Club, he was like, look, that's trivial. That's nothing. I can knock that out, and I can tell you for sure, man. You knock out many, many, many times that in a PlayStation session easily, depending on what you're doing, and yeah, it's not a problem. But getting back to the original point, why are so many fleet carriers getting decommissioned? Because it's working as intended. 10,000 people went out and bought one. Of those 10,000 people, a full third of them, a full 3,333, roughly, give or take, just bought it as a dick waving exercise. They bought it because it's a new toy, and I want the new toy. They had no plan. They had no intents of using it for anything productive. They had no anything, and they were just like, I want it because it's new, and I'm rich, and I got it. And it's like, okay, cool. Enjoy it. And some of those 3,000-ish people over that time were like, hey, I have a use for it. I'm going to do this or do that. And they're going to keep theirs. But a lot of those, most of those 3,000-ish people are going to say, I played with the new toy for a week and now I'm bored and it's costing me money, so I'm going to get rid of it. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're decommissioning it. They're getting almost all of their money back. And now they can go off and do whatever the hell they want. They can go do, they're not tied to it. They're not. So the point that I'm making is, if there was no upkeep cost, all of those 3,000-ish fleet carriers that are getting decommissioned would just be clogging shit up for absolutely no purpose. The people that bought them didn't have a use for them, didn't have a plan for them, didn't have a budget for them, or didn't intend to really put all that much whatever effort into the game, and they fucked off to play another game or to go back to buckyball racing or to go back to mining, but not whatever, or go back to doing BGS stuff and not needing a fleet carrier because they already have a fleet carrier for their group, or go back to exploring and they don't need a fleet carrier because the DSSA has them covered with the fleet carrier, whatever. But this is, I think, not highlighting a failure of the product, but highlighting an actual, like, this is how it works. If you have a use, you use it and you pay for it. If you don't have a use, if you're gonna not play or you're gonna not whatever, then perfect. Decommission it, get your money back, you win. Congratulations, enjoy. Guys, hop in here. What do you think?
Working as intended, I think it's fine. What would the alternative be, right? If somehow it was some of the earlier iterations that were discussed about how decommissioning might work. Imagine the uproar that would be happening if there was the same number of people who wanted out of it and then felt severely disadvantaged by trying to get out of it. So the fact that that isn't the topic is good news. And more parking for the rest of us.
Right?
Yeah,
I think that's
I'm
fine.
of the same mind.
Fine.
It very much, new shiny, new toys. The fat aspect is starting to fade, and I'm perfectly fine with those people that decided to get their credits back, and to go back to the way they played it. Like you just said, Roy, more parking for us, less congestion in those systems where a fleet carrier may want to be. I think it will actually ebb and flow over time. You will now have people that didn't have the credits for it before they dropped, that are still trying to make that push, especially with everything that we already talked about with mining, and they will still rush out and get their fleet carriers, but it won't be that big push, that big surge that we already saw, that we're starting to see taper off now. So I think it's good. I don't have any complaints about the decommissioning surge. Again, I think it's organic. I think this is just the way that games and the way this type of thing happens when a new feature, new toy comes out. It's a fad, you know. We'd all still be
Right on.
wearing leg warmers and carrying trapper keepers if a fad never went away, right? Maybe I'm just aging myself.
Wait, are you saying that there was a time
No,
where
no, no.
you were
I was
wearing leg
actually I was thinking
warmers,
about
Steve?
you. I was thinking about you, Kai. I saw that one picture.
Well, I
Now
rock
that
that
you've
bad boy.
you've opened the kimono with some of this Elite Week stuff, I'm digging up some pictures.
Hey, look. Hey, look. Here's the
Mm.
thing. Here's the thing. All right. $20 is $20.
I
Don't
respect your
judge
life
me.
choices.
All right. So getting back to the point here. Okay. So yeah, it's like I said, I think it highlights exactly not a failure of the system, but a strength of the system and how it organically the people that have a use will get it and use it, and the people that don't will move on and they get their money back. So yeah, nobody loses. All right. The next item on the agenda, we're going to keep it moving along because we've got some deep stuff to get into here. The next item is the Dark Wheel update. So, for anybody who is sort of halfway paying attention or hasn't sort of kept up with it, let me just let you know that the Dark Wheel had a historic sort of event last week where we took over Meredith City, and that was the first time that the Dark Wheel had sort of ruled a system, I think, in forever, because even though it had expanded out of Shinrarta, Shinrarta is locked that with 0% influence, the Pilots Federation rules that system and owns it and cannot not own it, even with 0% uh, influence. So, getting back to it, like I said, we took over Meredith last week, and this week, specifically today, we hit over 76% influence in LFT 926, which means because of a bug, this was a bug, one of the bugs that we talked about just a minute ago that was introduced at the Fleet Carrier patch, and that will maybe hopefully get addressed next week in the update patch, the 0.2 update patch. One of the bugs has caused a weird thing with BGS where normally you hit over 75% and you go immediately into pending expansion. Since this bug got introduced a couple weeks ago, you hit over 75%, and the next tick you go into pending expansion. You have one tick of just you're just waiting because I don't know, bugs, be bugs. And so that's where we're at. But the fact of the matter is we're not at 75%, we're not at almost 75%. We are over 76%. We absolutely will expand tomorrow on the tick. Or sorry, we'll go into pending expansion tomorrow on the tick, and then you wait out the whatever it is, 5 days, whatever, 7 days. There's a variable in there where it goes pending expansion, then it goes expansion, then it locks. We're going through the process, but the fact of the matter is for those people that have said like, oh, you can't expand the Dark Wheel out of LFT 926, it won't happen. FDev has locks in there to stop you from getting to 75%. Yeah, we already did it. Well, it won't. Okay, cool. Tomorrow when we hit pending expansion, then I'll rub your nose and shit because you're just wrong. All of the people that quote unquote know things that they don't know, they heard it somewhere, they're parroting it, they're being arrogant, and they're not having their mind open to the fact that it could happen, it could not happen, whatever. Those people are going to get a rude awakening tomorrow, and I'm betting on it enough to say this because if it doesn't happen tomorrow, then I'm going to look like an idiot, and I'll have to retract and eat my words and go, okay, well, apparently the Dark Wheel can't do shit, and come up with a new project. But that's the point of an experiment. You test it, you have a theory, you test it, you see what happens, and when something happens that shocks people, then you celebrate. And when you get data that sort of shows a failure or shows okay, this did not have X result, then you move on and you go on. But I'll say that if it was locked that we couldn't get over, we couldn't expand, it probably would have been locked in a way that it would have had it would have been fighting us harder and harder and stopping us from getting over 75%. We already did that. If it was a situation where, we could get there, but it just wouldn't go into pending expansion, I don't think Frontier would have done a live stream last week and told people like, yeah, we encourage you to give it, get involved. It's awesome. I think they would have said something. And looking at the screen, yes, I absolutely see that gas giant has got
it's
a kind of a
freaking me out, dude. I've been playing in this Haz-Res for a very long time, and I've never noticed those eyes. All of a sudden, I'm freaked out. Yeah, maybe.
Well, you were never streaming before, so that gas giant is watching you now for the first time. All right, so next item on the agenda. Oh, do you guys have anything on the Dark Wheel? Sorry, I just hopped past there.
I'm super excited to see this go. After this next tech, there is all kinds of weirdness still going on, not just in the Dark Wheel, but I'm also working on Loose Screws BGS, and there's all kinds of. I don't have any deep insights on it, but just to observe that there's all kinds of things that are still happening at odd times or early or later than they're supposed to. So whatever, I don't know if it's just bugs and or because the whole BGS system is so incredibly complex with, feedback loops within feedback loops. It just may be that the system is sort of pseudo chaotic and it takes some time to, function as normal after it gets a major interruption. So exciting stuff though, super exciting. And I'm super happy for everybody that's been helping out to see, some tangible things happen here.
Right
on top of the tangible things that have already happened. This is a big one.
I have only been watching from the outside, but I'll go ahead and again echo Roy and say that it's good to see that things are moving in the right direction. Kai, for your sake, I hope you don't have to eat your words. I hope things pan out the way that you expect them, and everything with what you guys are doing with the effort actually does exactly what you are hoping that it does. So it's again, like Roy said, it's exciting to see this all come together.
Well, here's the thing, man. Even if I end up having to eat my words, that's still a result. It's an experiment. We found a thing, and I'll be bummed, but it'll be still okay. It's a step. Science, the whole process of experimentation and the scientific method is one of crossing things off the list till you get to the point of a success, and every failure takes you one step closer to success. Now, speaking on Roy's point that he just made about BGS weirdness, that brings us segues beautifully into our next topic, which is Canon Interstellar put out a tweet that is interesting this week. Canon and a giant star. Canon minor faction is, as of today, the only faction present in 34 OMICRON CEPHEI, CEPHEI. All other factions retreated from the system. Something deemed impossible for years, a system with only one minor faction, is a very, very rare case. Just known from a few hand-picked systems. 34 OMICRON CEPHEI is also a giant G-star visible from Earth with the naked eye. It got its name by John Bayer in 1603, and its binary was discovered by Struve in 1832. So that is interesting. So basically, I believe it was three. So they were in a system with three other minor factions, all non native factions. All three, I believe, were non-player factions. And what happened was, on a particular day, right, all three of the other factions at the exact same time said, well, we're under 2.5% or under 2%, whatever the technical exact number is. And there are 4 factions in this system. And since there are 4 factions in this system, and we're under the 2% threshold or whatever, 2.5% threshold, we're going to go into pending retreat. And they all went into retreat at the exact. If it had happened that, like, the 2 had gone one day and the last one had gone, I think that last one would have refused to retreat because it would have said, oh, I'm going to leave a system with just one faction in it. but because they all went at the exact same time, like each one, like, so you had A, B, C, and D. A is canon, and they're like, we're good. We got all the we got all the influence. B was, random faction that said, okay, well, there's A, C, and D when I leave, so I can go. C was random faction that said, well, there's A, B, and D when I leave, so I can go. And D, random faction said, there's A, B, and C when I leave, so I can go. But all three of them just fucked off at the exact same day, which left just Canon alone in the system. This highlights some of the oddities and weirdness of what's been going on with the BGS. What,
Yeah, I mean,
guys?
that was my first reaction
shit, man.
as
What do you
well.
think?
When I saw when that got posted, and I went out and read the Twitter post and everything else that was around it, there wasn't a lot of substance there. There wasn't a lot of information, and it was really hard to put the pieces together. But that kind of was my first impression as well. Is this, if anything, speaks to the fact of what we were just talking about with the Dark Wheel, and that's just the whole piece around the BGS being wonky, right? There's something that's just not right here. Playing the odds, playing the numbers, trying to put together all the facts like you just talked through. Is it really possible for that to have happened? It's hard to say. I'm thinking that these guys just found something that's wonky, and it's probably going to get fixed at some point.
Roy?
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's a giant momentum of influence energy bouncing around the BGS right now, and it's just raw numbers, right? With that many systems involved, I think we're starting to see some extremes, some things happening that there wasn't things were too stable before, perhaps, and now we're just seeing all these outliers.
So I will say another thing that has sort of come up. How do I? Okay, well, we're just going to announce it here. This is the grand debut announcement of this. That this is a thing that has happened. It's a thing that has been discussed as a possibility before, but I'm announcing it here and now, and it's going up on the forums later tonight. We have made the decision to change phase 2 of the program. Phase 1 is still going to be to expand towards Earth, Sol system. Phase 2 was Lave. Phase 2 is being redirected to LFT 509 for obvious reasons. Just look it up if you have any questions. But basically, LFT 509 is the permanent lock system that we have good reason to believe or suspect is the actual home of the Dark Wheel faction. So LFT 509 is where we're going to aim for phase 2, and phase 3 is going to be Lave now. And then we're going to adjust and sort of look at what we're doing after phase 3, whether phase 4 will just be the general undirected expansion, or phase 4 will be sort of, heading towards Robigo with phase 5 being general undirected expansion. But the fact of the matter is that is sort of a long ways down the road. Phase 1 and phase 2 are what are much more sort of close to what we're working on and what we can see in the immediate, like before we get to the horizon. Phase 3 and 4 is farther back. So this is not, this is an exciting change, but on the original point of the whole sort of BGS weirdness, this is not something that we are experiencing alone. Operation Ida has had big swings. Canon has had swings. The Hutton Truckers have had weird, crazy expansions. AXI have had some systems that they're just fluctuating, wildly, as Mgram is saying in the chat. It's all over the place, and some of this might be some of this might be a bug, some of this might be a feature. Literally, we don't know yet, and we haven't kind of got our arms around it. But as we see further sort of adjustments that are made with patches or whatnot, and things sort of hopefully start to settle down in one way or another, it may be that some of this or all of this was a bug. it may be that some of this was intentional. They wanted to shake some things up, but maybe it shook up a little in ways that, it rippled in ways that they had not anticipated or whatnot. But well, I mean, we'll see. But it's definitely exciting times for people that are BGS players. It's definitely exciting and or terrorizing and or
There's some
like
hair pulling going
confusing
on.
times.
Yeah.
I've got in the BGS planning room, we've had some discussions that have gone on where they're like, okay, there's 47 possible permutations, and then like another change comes to light. And it's like, okay, now there's 2,847 possible permutations. It's like, whoa, okay, that's a thing that just happened. So, but we're playing through. The exciting thing is that the consistent thing is, man, the Dark Wheel is getting it done. I'm so happy and so proud and so thankful to all of the people out there that are helping out with all of that stuff. But as the CANONN situation sort of highlights, there's some weird shit going on, and it's whatever. Speaking of exciting changes, this week saw the addition to the newest English-speaking Elite Dangerous podcast out there, Flight Assist Podcast. Now, Flight Assist is a co-venture, a collaboration project of Commanders Psychit and Mal for the Win. And they put out episode 1 and 2 on Monday night. And episode 1 was Psychit, and episode 2 was Mal for the Win. And this was sort of episode 1 and 2 were kind of a little different. They weren't really like episodes in the sense of like what they're going to be doing, as I understand it, is sort of interviewing people each week. And episode 1 and 2 was, Mal interviewing Psychit, and then Psychit interviewing. Episode 2 was Psychit interviewing Mal, and it was sort of a kind of an introductory interviews of each other. And then episode 3, which will start, which will drop Monday, so in 3 days, will be the first one where it's like the two of them sort of together interviewing a third party, and they're going to go through the community and do great things, I'm sure, man. Episodes 1 and 2 were great. I very much enjoyed them. Guys, what did you think? And join me in giving a big warm welcome to Mal for the Win and Psychit.
Yeah, congratulations to both. It's the more the merrier. One more great thing happening. It's injecting more and more excitement.
Yeah,
and life
I
into
unfortunately
this
only
community.
caught episode 1 of 2, not 2 of 2 as well. But it's good to hear some folks that like Roy just said again, have been playing the game and now are jumping into the content creation pool. Mal and Psychic both sound like they've got some good experience and can really contribute to this community that continues to grow. Again, we've got a game here that's long in the tooth, and yet we still have people like these guys that are stepping up and creating content and increasing the experience and the enjoyment for those of us that are playing the game. So I think it's great.
Right on. And just to clarify, in case there's any confusion, they're sort of pillars of the community in the content creation pool, as far as that, they've both been, massively popular streamers for quite some time with Elite Dangerous, but they're jumping into the podcast pool. So like, I just wanted to clarify that in case somebody was like, what, you're saying they're new? No, obviously Fee, Roy, all of us, me, we all know that they've been around for forever as streamers.
Sorry if I made it sound that way. That's exactly what I meant.
We're excited.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, I get it. No, I get it. I just wanted to clarify before people are like, man, he's never even heard of them. It's like, no, he's heard of them. We all know who they are. They're both amazing. They're both great people. All right. Next item on the agenda, the Steam Summer Sale. Dude, you can get Elite for cheap. Seems like you can kind of always get Elite for cheap. Like, maybe it's just me and how my brain sort of records the passage of time, but it seems like every other month it's like, Steam's on, Elite's on sale on Steam for, the next week or 3 days or 2 days or 6 days or 2 weeks. It's like, go, if you need a second account, go get it. if you want to buy 3 or 4 accounts and then hand them out to friends and be like, yo, play this game, check this out, go get it. But if you're going to buy the cheap accounts and hand them out for friends, you have a duty, because Steam has Elite has a crazy steep learning curve. And if you get past the curve, I can tell you so many of my friends, I try to get them in, and it's like, it's like, if you get them to the point where they can like land, that's a hard nut for some brand new players to crack, man. And like once you get them to that point where it's like, okay, I can do a couple things, then they can kind of start. But like really, really, if you get somebody into this, be that sort of, don't just, say, okay, well, here's your ticket and your passport, bon voyage. Like, be their guide, help them get started. It will vastly increase the chance that they stick around. In fact, hilariously, in the Flight Assist podcast, where Mal for the Win was interviewing Psychic, they talk about that to a good extent, a really good extent. Psychic was talking about how, her she had multiple people that were very, very close friends that were like sort of helping her and guiding her through the process of things. And yeah, man, it's big and it's good. And so go get it on Steam on sale.
Yeah,
and,
I have yet
self.
to purchase a second copy of the game for an alt account. As I just mentioned in the chat, I really don't want to take time away from my existing account to do some of that grind all over again. I really don't have a purpose for that. But what I have done is I've pushed, like you just mentioned, Kai, friends and family who might be interested to jump in. My own son, he's picked himself up an X52. He's got a copy of the game, and he is now recruiting his own band of malcontents that he has within his own circle to also jump in and play. So I see the formation of a younger generation, or a younger squad of elite players happening there, and I'm doing exactly what you absolutely said, and I wholeheartedly agree. Mentorship is definitely required for this game, because you cannot say, okay, here's the game, here's the keyboard, here's the mouse, here's your Xbox controller, or even a HOTAS if you've got it. Have fun, figure it out, do the tutorial missions. You've got to provide some guidance. On the PC side, you've got to help them understand the benefits of Inara and all these other tools. You really have to help people to get up to speed so they can truly enjoy the game, or else they're going to get overwhelmed very quickly, and they're going to go back to whatever it was they were playing before.
Well said. Well said. All right. So that brings us to the next topic, which is the last of our short topics, and then we're going to get into the discussion topics. So the next one is the East India Trading Company has swapped. They're now accepting tritium for payment instead of imperial slaves, which was the method that they used before. Which, okay, number one, that's interesting and exciting, because tritium is, for the first time, a player usable commodity that you're not just taking it for arbitrage, you're taking it for the purpose of having a use for it. They can, resell it on a market. They can use it for their ships. That's awesome. Also, who are we kidding here? Let's also address the fact that it's just way less icky to say, like, I bought this with slave. Like, I get it. Number one, this is a video game. This isn't real life. Number two, this is imperial slaves. This is not like the slavery that we've dealt with in America or whatever through the history on Earth. This is a whole different system, yada, yada, yada. Say it however you like. I get it. I respect it. I acknowledge it. And still, I say the idea of sort of slavery makes me uncomfortable. I don't dig it. It's a bummer. It's not cool. I'm not in favor. So, like, this is awesome. They're taking tritium, which is like, yeah, let's get off of. I get the slave thing as far as lore and the story, but for player groups, yeah, it's good to get away from that, I think, guys.
Yeah, I'm one of the
Tritium
players that actually kind of like you said, that avoids the fundamental aspects of the imperial systems, the slave trade. I have not ground. How do we say that? I have not ground the imperial sequence at this point yet to get that cutter because of I don't want to deal with the slave trade, even though it's only a video game. It's just something ethically that bothers me, even though it's only a video game. So I've avoided it. So yeah, it's good to see these guys switching to Tritium. I think there's obviously some benefits there. Again, taking advantage of this new benefit we have within this player economy to trade a commodity that's useful for everybody.
Well, real quick, I just want to point out, Fee, you can grind your Empire
I've
rep
heard
without
this. I just haven't been
any
over there
way doing anything with slaves.
to try it yet. But it's just one of those things. First impressions.
Sure.
Icky imperial slaves.
Sure. I get you. Yeah, no, I get you. But like, you can just run data delivery missions and not have anything to do with that. So get that cutter, man, because it's shit hot. But yes, we're all in favor of not being involved in the slave trade, I think. So, all right, now we're going to get to our discussion topics for the night. We've got 4 of them, and these are going to be meaty. So let's get into it. Topic number 1. Gold rushes are great, but where's the rush? What does this mean? Well, I like the idea of having people are like, oh, the problem with the lead is, you got these gold rushes and blah, blah, blah. I disagree. I think a gold rush is an awesome thing for a game. It adds excitement. It adds, it should add extra danger. It should add taking people out of their element. They're moving you to a new thing. You're having to dive into a new aspect or a new way or a new target of what you're looking for, what you're dealing with, what you're working with. The gold rush in America, that just drew people from the East Coast out west. It was travel, it was excitement, it was danger, it was all of these things that are sometimes maybe less than ideal for real life situations, but are fucking perfect for a video game. It's romance, it's danger, it's just exciting. It's great shit. Where there is a problem is if you have a gold rush, say, for Painite that lasts for a year, which then gets replaced by a gold rush for low temperature diamonds that lasts 6 months or 9 months or however long it's going to last before it goes. And then you end up with, a dozen content creators putting out their variation of the same guide of do X. Go to Baran, go to A2, go to this spot, do this, do that, do the other, and do that until your eyeballs bleed for the next 6 months. We'll see you when they adjust it. That's where it gets boring. That's where it kind of gets shitty. And what I would love to see, and what I'm promoting the idea of, and I hope catches on and people sort of support, is number 1, I would like gold rushes to vary within the modality, i.e., this week, they have a system created, and they actually sort of in the January mining nerf, quote unquote, they just changed it. They nerfed Void Opals, they nerfed Painite, they nerfed and then they artificially sort of left low temperature diamonds unnerfed. And I kind of get it, because it was a situation of it was a situation of like, well, we don't want to take away everybody's methods of making money right before we release fleet carriers. People are trying to grind it out. Okay, fine, whatever. But fleet carriers are out. I would love to see low temperature diamonds get nerfed into the rest of the group. But then, and hear me out, because I know some people are going to be like, no, I'm going to kill you. You're taking away my money. Wait. Nerf low temperature diamonds in line with the other things. But then have a new system that is dynamic, that it looks and says, okay, for the last week, we had 90,000 tons or 900,000. I don't even know the scale or whatever. We had 900,000 tons of low temperature diamonds sold. So now the market is going to say, fuck you, we're flooded with low temperature diamonds. We're not paying dog shit for low temperature diamonds. Here, have this little whatever. But by the same token, it looks back and said, man, we had 3 tons of benditoite sold for some God knows why reason. And then the market, like, okay, now the market says, we need benditoite because our widgets are made out of benditoite and we've run out. We have 0 benditoite in the market. Oh, we're going to pay a massive amount. We're going to pay 1.6 mil. We're going to pay void opal prices for benditoite. And then everyone like sort of logs on for the week and they look, okay, what's the, holy shit, do you see how much they're paying for benditoite? I've never mined benditoite. Where the hell do I even go for that? What is that? Surface mine? Is that core? Is that laser? Is it ice spots? Is that rocky rings? So then you have to go and you have to look it up and you have to find a spot and then it search, it sends, you saw, everyone saw in when the fleet carrier patch landed, within like 8 hours, they had found 2 triple low temperature diamond spots. It's been 2 weeks in a game that has 400 plus billion stars. So we found already a quad LTD spot and a fat triple that's just sexy as fuck. Like, if it was dynamic, truly, where one week it sends you out and like Alexandrite is the spot, and the next week, oh my god, void opals are the thing, and the next week, oh my god, serendipitite is the thing, and the next week, oh, Alexandrite again, and oh shit, now it's void opals again, and oh, now it's, if it was jumping around, it would cause every week or two would be a whole new actual gold rush of people going all over the galaxy to find this shit, and like sort of, instead of having one guide for like, okay, here's the money-making guide. Step 1, go to this location. Step 2, mine low temperature diamonds until you want to kill yourself. Step 3, profit. It would be like, man, I've got 47 guides out. Here's my Alexandrite guide. Here's my serendipitite guide. Here's my painite guide. Here's my void opal guide. And everybody would have their own little fishing spots of like, ooh, this is my super secret, whatever, and it hasn't really got out yet. This is the best place for, this thing or that thing. I think that would be phenomenal. Instead of, because right now, as I think it was, I think on Lave Radio, I think it was Mac Winston that said it perfectly. He summed it up. He said, it's not a gold rush, it's a gold saunter. And Mgram, as he said it isn't a gold rush anymore. It's just the new meta. And that's what I want to kill the metas, and I want to replace it with actual gold, like a real, for realsies gold rush of like, you actually have to get out there and figure it out and have a plan and know that if you have the spot, if you have the absolute best void opal spot, you better make hay while the sun shines, because it's gone in a week and now it's going to be something else. Or even maybe, if they did it by the week, that would be awesome. They could even maybe do it by the day. They could have it tick to tick. Like, I think it would be really, really, really good if they could change that. And also, while we're at it, since we're looking at changing things up for Elite Dangerous Odyssey, I would also love if sometimes the gold rush meta wasn't mining. Maybe 3/4 of the time or half the time the gold rush could be mining, because I get it that that's a thing where, okay, they want to put effort into or whatever, but maybe sometimes the gold rush could be passenger sightseeing missions, or the next time a gold rush could be like, oh man, there's some festival going on, or if you look at right now, it's just these rare goods, you can get these rares, it's crazy. Or like, oh my god, right now trucking is oh my god, right now AXI, or bounty hunting or conflict zones. I think there could be neat opportunities to, even if you leave the meta as half of the time mining is king, but then vary it up within that modality to say that there's 50 different possible things you could go at for mining. It could also be a situation of like, man, today or this week combat is a big feature, or this week exploration is a big feature, or whatever. All right, I've said a lot of stuff and covered a lot of ideas. How about we start with Fee this time? Hop in and get in on this, and then Roy take over.
The way that I'm looking at this is kind of at that higher view, Kai, that you just touched on, which is looking beyond mining, right? Personally, I gotta say I'm pretty much burnt out from mining because of the gold rush, because of the I don't want to call it forced min maxing, but the forced min maxing that we all are compelled to do when we know that LTDs or voidables or paynite or whatever it is the hot commodity. We all find out from Anara or whatever we use to identify that one location, and then we all get into solo mode and we do our mining, and that's the way it worked. I would love to see some change happen there. I would love to see some variability, like you say, where different minerals or different things within mining vary from week to week, tick to tick, whatever that dynamic is. But it would even be nice to see, like you said, things move beyond that. And I'm about to do the loop of shame. It would be nice to see some variability beyond mining, and see some gold rushes related to changes like you just touched on. I think that's a great idea. I know I joked in the pre-show about a gold rush for biowaste, but just seeing something related to areas of trade or passenger missions or even combat, somehow, and even going back to when we were talking about the Dark Wheel stuff and the wonkiness with BGS, and it got me thinking about what if there's a layer of the game that Frontier is getting ready to overlay that we have not seen yet, that is causing this wonkiness. The mechanics are there, the changes are there, but we don't know why, so we just say, oh, it's a bug. What if there's something that's going to happen? We can even talk about Thargoids that is going to influence this stuff. What if that could also drive some sort of new gold rush mechanic related to Guardian modules or what have you? Just seeing how again the variableness of this game can go beyond mining. I'm burnt out of mining. I'm tired of really hearing about it. But I don't want to be too salty about it. I'm just saying is there's so much more to this game that people should be enjoying beyond just min maxing LTD hotspots.
Well, before Roy jumps in, here's what I gotta say. I think there's about an 80 to 90% chance that it's just a bug that we're dealing with regard to the BGS stuff. But I want to toast your optimism, my friend.
Boy,
because
somebody hasn't told me I'm adorable in a really long time.
All right, now
go
having
upstairs
said
later
that,
and tell my wife that somebody called me adorable tonight. She's gonna get jealous.
Yeah. There you go. So having said that and popped a cold one, I'm going to hand it over to Roy.
Yeah, so some very interesting ideas there. One thing I was thinking of, even as you were just talking there, Fee, is one of the big differences, if we just broadly compare Elite to other large multiplayer games, is the way the BGS makes things happen. And when I look at a lot of other games, they have to manually create cadence. And what I mean by that is new things to do every 3 months or 4 months, because there's a new incentive or a new meta. And some of them do that with like seasons. Some of them do it with new areas of a game that open up, or new currencies or other things. And one of the things I wonder about is, and it kind of ties into this idea of, is FDev looking to do something new with the BGS, or is this just a bug? Is whether you're talking about what's the meta, or how do you balance fun versus credits versus challenge? Is it FDev's intention that ultimately these things will be driven by the BGS in a kind of semi-autonomous way, or is it more that it's almost unknowable how to make that thing go, in a way that is predictable. And so they would have to instead make this cadence happen with things like, intentionally intervening to create gold rushes, or intentionally driving seasons with narrative or community goals, or things like that. The BGS, I think, doesn't sometimes get the credit it deserves in terms of how massive and complex a gaming system that is within Elite, as compared to other games where a lot of people get together and have fun in a sandbox. So that's where my mind goes, is, what are they trying to do here? Is it that eventually the BGS will be tuned enough that they can let things run on their own, so to speak, with minimal intervention? Or is it more that it'll never be like that? It's just too complex, and they have to keep intervening to make new things fun and not have things get stale.
Huh.
So,
yeah, there's a lot there, man. There's a lot of possibilities, and we're just gonna have to see which way some of it. It's one of those things where it's like you have ideas where it's like, oh, I think the answer is this, or I think the answer is that, but then it's like, oh, am I setting myself up for just setting myself down a path of oh, this is nice and this is nice, and then it doesn't happen. But it's like there's so many possibilities.
Well, it's like how much. I think everyone can agree that there should be some balance with people choosing different ways to play the game and still having fun, and not being severely disadvantaged when it comes to getting into other parts of the game, say buying ships or whatever. That's a known need, I think. But it just goes back to how much of this is, should there be a staff of people at FDev turning knobs versus having the game be set up to be set up to run on its own. I often wonder. I wonder if we're playing the game the way we're quote unquote supposed to.
I think the idea of having them turn knobs is sort of I think the ideal situation is more on the nature of they set up the system and then it works. It does its own thing. I think anything that is set up where you're requiring, first off, these knobs don't exist. These knobs that everybody's been talking about for the last week or two, they don't exist. But if they did exist, it would still be a situation where you don't want monkeys going in there and twisting them. You want to set up a complex matrix that seeks out equilibrium. When it finds too much of A, it leans towards B, and sort of is self-balancing, so to speak. I don't know if that makes sense or whatever, but yeah, you definitely need to get it towards aim towards the concept, I believe, of procedural generation, finding a balance, finding a sort of a matrix that works for it. But go ahead.
I was just going to say, in my mind, it's not even so much a balance. It's if what you're trying to do is create interesting and new things that are worthwhile at some frequency. Maybe weekly is too. Maybe certain things changing weekly is good. Maybe too many things changing weekly is too much chaos. But maybe all that is needed is to make the BGS a little less stable. And maybe that's what we've seen.
Now you're optimistic.
Even if it was unintentional,
see what's going on here
with fleet carriers.
He's adorable.
I'm not saying it was by. Look, don't attribute to a grand plan. What could just be a, oops kind of thing.
Right.
But it is an interesting
adorable,
concept.
just like us.
That just having this sort of massive change. Just by having this massive sort of shock, like I would say what we're in right now is like a BGS storm, right? And it's because there was all that energy put into the system. It was sort of pushed off balance, and now it's really wobbly, and if that is done in a good way, that can be generating some fun
and
things.
just real quick, Allison
agree
in
with
the
you
chat,
100%.
she's mentioning how the BGS could actually generate gold rushes, and I think I touched on this. I don't remember if it was in the pre-show. I don't remember if it was in Discord chat during the week, but you know, just kind of enhancing the way that the game, you know, the different variables in the game using the BGS, and having a gold rush occur based on, you know, even going back to the Dark Wheel stuff, right? You know, what if you guys can actually influence a gold rush to occur, as you're pushing influence and reputation, with what you're doing in the Dark Wheel. You know, that would be pretty wicked too. Just, you know, thinking about that, how again pulling the player community together for another level of BGS, that actually drives the economy as well, would be pretty wicked.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so we're going to introduce a new topic, or sorry, a new segment to the show, which is community feedback. The community feedback questions are going to be questions we sort of ask every week, and you can respond to them by joining the Elite Week Discord. It'll be in the show notes of both the. Right now, the stream is going live, so it doesn't have the notes up, but about an hour or less after we're done with the stream, it'll have the show notes. There's a channel in the Discord under. I'm looking right here. If you go under general chat or general text, and then go down, you'll see a little calendar icon, and it says community feedback of the week. So you can go in there and you can type your responses, but basically every week, or you can put it in the comment section of the YouTube video. And I'm going to pull up the YouTube video comment section. We're going to aggregate the community feedback, and we're going to pick out ones to read out on air, and to discuss on next week's show. But the very first question of the community feedback, and there's going to be 3 tonight, is your thoughts on balancing for dynamic gold rushes. So all of the people that are in the chat right now that are having their say, and all those people that are listening on the podcast or listening on the YouTube version of this or whatever during the week, what are your thoughts on this topic of what cool ways can Frontier have some sort of dynamic gold rush balancing? Or you might say, like, nah, screw you, I like it how it is, I want to just mine low temperature diamonds for the next year. Like, that's a valid answer if that's how you feel. Nobody can tell you you're wrong to feel how you feel. So I think, I hope a lot of people will agree with me that it would be better if it was sort of more dynamic and more changing. And if that's the case, tell me how you think it could be a good way of doing that. All right. So that brings us to the next topic on the list, discussion topic 2, which is open threads. So what do we not know that we know? And I'm going to start off with the very first example. You know, a week ago, we had the Vitadine nanomeds, 2 weeks ago, the same day that the Fleet Carrier patch dropped. Vitadine nanomeds were added to the game as a rare good. It's the most recent Galnet article. It's the only one that we've had going back to January. January, we had that one where they renamed the Pleiades systems, or the couple of systems in the Pleiades. But let's examining that, as I already stated on last week's show, and as I already stated actually when it first came in, like, if you look at it, what's the point of, like, why are they adding this now? Well, we've got Elite Week just around the corner, and in first-person shooter games, basically, you normally have those situations where you're running around, you're shooting people, and then you break some crates, and in a crate you find some ammo, and in another crate you find a health pack, or if you're playing an MMO or whatever, some kind of like more World of Warcraft thing, you got health potions, stamina potions, whatever. I think sort of I think David Braben would look at the idea of health potions in a thing and want to vomit and say like, dude, we're a science-based game. We're not doing health potions. I think Vitadyne nanomeds pretty much are the exact same thing. It's like I broke a crate, I found a health pack, and it's a nanomed pack, and then boop, I apply this, and oh look, I got half of my health points back, and I'm no longer having the bleed status or whatever. I think that is sort of, a thing that they've shown us. It's out in the open, but we haven't sort of, a lot of people I don't think have done the math of working through what's the point, where is this going, and I think that could be where it's going. I know we had discussed some other examples before the show. Do you guys want to
yeah,
do you want to hop in with your
one of the
example?
things that we've talked about is what happened way back when with the SRVs, right? Originally they were built and provided from an organization that essentially mandated that they were only going to do one particular design regardless of the request or the demand for additional designs, additional capabilities, and now what we saw happen from there is they were acquired from a larger company, and that larger company is a larger company that provides ships with multiple designs, multiple capabilities. So that's definitely something where there are some open-ended threads. We may see what may happen there, especially as we move forward into Odyssey, where we're going to have different types of planet surfaces to explore. We may get some additional capabilities there. I think there's definitely an open-ended thread. I think there's definitely an open-ended answer that needs to be, or question rather, that needs to be answered.
Right on. Yeah, I mean, I would love to see 5 or 6 different variations. And yeah, I think I'm trying to remember back. It was a Galnet article from mid last year ish, early to mid last year, and it was basically something along the lines of, I think it was Core Dynamics or whatever had bought out the SRV, and it was like a small, like not mom and pop, but it was a smaller company that was making the SRV, and they just had a production line that was just making the one variant. And at the time that Galnet had put out the article, they literally had said something along the nature of, with the purchase of this smaller corporation by this huge megacorp, questions have been raised of like, will there be new SRV variants or whatever? And it's like, yeah, there are threads that like were public knowledge. They talked about it a while back, but like I think people haven't sort of gone back and done the math. So it's interesting.
So,
Roy?
Yeah, another news story from Galnet that may be a hint that was hiding in plain sight. That goes back to May 11th, 3305. Ship theft mystery deepens. This is the mystery continues to surround Gan Romero, the starship technician who single-handedly stole a docked vessel in the Vega system. This obviously was before came out before the shift to say remove stories or not have stories in Galnet that were just sort of flavor text. So don't know if this was just a flavor text or if this is something that was hinting at a capability. Obviously, you need elite feet to sneak into a ship and steal it. That is something that had come up way early on from David Braben in interviews about a capability that at some point was part of his vision. So I'd say it's plausible. And
there's also been there've been Galnet articles about various, building or construction things over not like recently, but if you go farther back, and I know David Braben had done a whole thing where he had to talk about some kind of inflatable habs or whatever, habitation things or whatever, and it's like we're getting new. I mean, if you go back through the Galnet articles, there were a mixture of all different kinds of stories of all different kinds of things, and some of them which you may have thought was like, okay, this was just sort of a thing about, Aisling Duval, or this was sort of a thing about the Kumo crew, or this was about whatever. It may have also touched on sort of some things like, oh, this had a thing in there that could be referring to, social hubs or referring to other things that, you know, we're looking to get in you know, Odyssey. So, all right. So the second sort of topic, and this is again of the community questions. The second topic is, what do you think may be an open thread? So I'm challenging you. Rack your brains. Go through. You can see the repositories of the old, you know, Galnet articles. Let's scour some stuff and let's rack our brains and think like, what may be a thing that was hinted at and is, like, as Roy said, hiding in plain sight, where it's like, man, yeah, they told us about this and we just didn't put it together that this could be leading to that. All right. So the next topic for discussion topic is discussion topic 3, the Elite Dangerous Odyssey economy. And what I mean by that is, once you can afford billions for a fleet carrier, any guns, armor, ground vehicle, personal tech will basically be trivial if it's priced in credits. And that sort of goes against the standard MMO thing where it's like, okay, we normally, if you say, oh, we dropped the new thing, normally what happens is credits become sort of like the new stuff is all more expensive. Like, I'll give you an example. World of Warcraft, you know, I got to level 40, I bought a mount. It cost, you know, whatever, 10 gold. Then I got to level 50, I got the epic mount. It costs, you know, 50 gold. Then I got to level 60, I got the flying mount. It costs 70 gold. Then I got to level 80, I got the faster flying mount. It also goes underwater. It costs, you know, but it goes like 40 gold, then like 100 gold, then like 500 gold, then like 10,000 gold, as sort of they keep, as they do a new expansion, it's like, oh, they up the cap of how much money things cost, right? And then they keep you running on that treadmill of like, oh, I gotta go out there and get my bank so I can get the new thing. In Elite Dangerous, that would be stupid. It just doesn't make sense. If you look at, okay, let's look at the United States military as just an example. When the United States military buys a fleet carrier for billions of dollars, right? It's not like, oh, somebody come out with a brand new machine gun tomorrow, or someone come out with a brand new, you know, body armor set. Okay, well, this one's going to cost hundreds of billions of dollars because it's new. It's like, no, it's very, very small. It's used for one guy. As a fleet carrier is a crew of, you know, hundreds of people and can hold thousands of people and has tons of stuff that it does. So that idea of like scale of economy doesn't really work for Elite Dangerous. So there's a couple ways that they can address this, I think. The first way would be to have some alternate currency, i.e., I'm just going to throw in a placeholder name. This is not what the real name is. But the idea would be planet-side dollars. So that, you know, you need to, you know, you start off with 100 planet-side dollars and you have to go do elite feat type missions to build up your planet-side dollar wallet so that you can afford the new gun that costs 10,000 planet-side dollars. And then, oh man, then there's the 20,000 planet-side dollar. And it gets you on another treadmill of like, I have to build up my bank so that I can earn or unlock or access these additional things. That's one way they could do it. The other way they could do it is just say, you know, everybody gets a gun. You know, you got a handgun and you got a rifle, and there's just one gun. There's the standard handgun and the standard rifle, and everybody gets the exact same one, and it costs whatever, 1,000 credits. It costs nothing. It's trivial. It's bullshit. But you have this stock Model 1 rifle. And then you have to go get sort of engineering mats or whatever to engineer a scope onto it, or to engineer a suppressor, or to engineer expanded ammo, you know, magazine capability, or to engineer higher armor penetration. So it's like, that's just an alternate currency, basically. At that point, your engineering sort of becomes the other currency of like, it costs you time and money to get these things to add to your gun to make your gun so much better than the Mark 1 gun, that, you know, the standard bullshit weenie starter gun. So that's two ways off the top of my head that I can see, either planet-side bucks or standard variations that all have to be engineered, and that's the currency. What do you guys think on both of those? And whoever wants to jump in first, go for it. And then, you know, do you have any other that like, they could do it this way instead?
Yeah, so I think about how other games that I play or have played have dealt with a similar issue. If you look at Destiny 2 and Warframe, for example, they've each tackled it in a somewhat similar way, where there's, you know, in Destiny they have seasonal currencies. So the place where you go to buy the new thing is part of the narrative of something that came, you know, didn't exist before this season, and the bits, the little MacGuffins that it spits out, whether it's, you know, Vex Mind components or Fractaline or whatever, that currency is used at the place where you buy the new things. So it's like a closed system. It's not purchasable with the currency that you more generally have. Warframe, when they opened up the new open zones, similar kind of thing. They had new, you could call it grinding loops, I guess, for the missions and the things that would drop in those zones, and those things would be used to purchase the. In the case of Warframe, it was the first time they'd had a new kind of craftable melee weapon, or a new kind of craftable gun, and so again a kind of closed zone. I'm curious whether they'll have sometimes those things seem a bit contrived, because it's just new currencies, and they give it a funny name, and if you keep doing that over and over, you end up with like so many different currencies. It gets a bit confusing. I know Destiny's even started now to look at sunsetting things after, they sunset things after each season. So that's how they keep it fresh. It kind of goes back to the conversation about cadence. How do you give people grind loops that feel fresh and fun, and purposeful?
I think, though, to your point, when you say like, oh, you can only develop so many extra of these before it's like silly because you got 19 different currencies. I'm not envisioning another way where we would have another currency after this. Like, this is changing the modality of the entire game, of saying like, okay, now we have sort of, so it's weird, because in most expansions, in most like sort of video game MMO expansions, what it is it starts small and it continually expands out and grows larger and larger in scope. Elite Dangerous sort of did the exact opposite. They started massive in scope, and now with Elite Feet, it's your first time where you're not going to be a whole ship that's massive. You're not going to be an SRV. So, like, literally, the way they started it was you could only be a ship. That was like, it's big, it's huge. And then with Horizons, they were like, well, now you could be a ship or a little buggy. Now you can go smaller. You can go be an SRV. And then with Odyssey, they're saying, well, now you can be on foot. You're going even smaller. So it's a sort of a unique situation that Elite has for itself, where the idea of expanding the scope and expanding the scale does not fit. But I submit to you that after this, if they were to create one additional alternative currency, if they were to create sort of planet-side dollars, I get that it's, silly, seems silly and contrived, but they could explain it with whatever. If they were to create planet-side dollars, I don't think they're going to be, it's not like the next expansion is going to require another need for a new currency, because you have the modality of like, I'm in a ship. We already have a fleet carrier, okay? And that works fine on the credit system. Fleet carrier going, so they went ship, credits. SRV, sort of credits still work because it's not really interacting in a way that changes anything. Fleet carrier, credits still work. It's just on a much larger scale. Now, instead of costing 5 million credits or 50 million credits or 500 million credits for your ship, now you're spending 5 billion credits for a fleet carrier. Switching with this modality of going down to the on-foot model, having that come after the big, it doesn't make sense. It requires an alternative currency. But after this, it's like, what? Oh, well, we got now underwater SRV worlds, SSRVs, submarine worlds. that doesn't require a new economy. Like you still then the credits still work for that. Oh well, now we've got wormholes or whatever. Doesn't require a new economy. Oh, now we've got more atmospheres. Does not require a new economy. So I think that this is a one-off, and you can get away with having three currencies in a game without that's not overly much. The first currency would be credits. The second currency in this particular case would be quote unquote planet side dollars, and then the third currency would be engineering math. I don't think that that's overly stressful on a robust sort of economic system.
If you extend the analogy of currencies, though, that isn't there already? And I know it's only a one-time thing, but when you're unlocking engineers, they each ask for something, and that something is in effect a one-time currency. You may never go get it again, but it doesn't have value outside of that task or that unlocking quest. And so it's a question of, okay, if there's new guns,
it's not a currency. It's a temporary.
I know. And so that's the question: is if there's a new weapon vendor on a planet that's part of Odyssey, does it need to be a new current? And what you're trying to avoid is, because somebody already has billions of credits, you don't want them to, not have the joy of the journey of figuring out how to earn those weapons. Does it need to be an ongoing thing, or can it be a one-time unlock? Once they've unlocked everything in that tree by handing in all the MacGuffins, is that good enough? Because that's kind of what we do with engineers now.
I mean, that would be fine. I would argue that at that point you're not talking about a currency, you're talking about a fetch quest. But
just real quick. First off, Roy, I've never heard
you had something for
this term before. Of McMuffins, I don't know what they are, beyond what I can get at that restaurant that we can't name because we're not sponsored. I know that's not a restaurant. I haven't.
That's not a restaurant, dude. That is not a restaurant.
Exactly. Yeah, I haven't. I haven't eaten there in like 15 years, so I know exactly what you're saying.
That's not food, bro.
But no, I mean, really listening to this conversation, a couple thoughts there. I have played some Destiny 2, not enough to really grasp those grind loops that you talk about, Roy. But I do play World of Tanks a lot, and there is a lot of grind loops in that as well. And I see the same type of thing where we have different levels of currency. We have gold, we have credits. Beyond gold, we have bonds. There's several different levels of currency that you can earn to do different things within that game. Just thinking through this, and even what we're seeing in the chat, there's a lot of ideas, a lot of concepts in how to make this work when we get to the point with Odyssey. And I think just thinking through this, what it's going to mean, Kai, when you were talking about starting with a base pistol and a base rifle, the way that I was thinking through that is, it's okay if you have that 1 point whatever amount of credits in your wallet, but it's not going to do much because you have not ranked up as far as being a soldier is concerned. Granted, you're a hell of a pilot. You've certainly earned those credits as a pilot. You've certainly justified the fact that you can fly every single ship that's available, and you've even got yourself a fleet carrier. But those credits don't mean dick until you actually prove yourself as a foot soldier or as somebody that we need with boots on the ground with those weapons. And yeah, it may relate to fetch missions or something along that nature that could be a different grind loop. But I think you may be able to use those credits that you already have in the future. Once you've also ranked up or gone through a set of missions or what have you, similar to what we do with the engineers, that earns you the rank to use those credits to basically make yourself a more worthy or more senior ranked foot soldier, if that makes sense.
Something that just made me think of also in Warframe, another kind of currency that has a parallel in Elite is reputation. So in Warframe, when they had these new vendors with the new special awesome thing that people wanted to get, there was tiers of reputation, and you had to go and do missions to earn reputation to unlock those tiers of things you could buy. So that was another way to gate it and make it more of an adventure or a journey that had some narrative consistent with what you're doing.
Now, Fee, you were talking about with World of Tanks earlier in the
Yeah,
pre-show.
and
You were
again, you know,
talking about some stuff there with the
so
currencies.
they, you know, World of Tanks, if everybody is not familiar, and some of you may be familiar with the game that has, in my opinion, the worst community ever. It's like the polar opposite of Elite Dangerous. There is significant amounts of what I like to call assholery in that game. But beyond that, they have several different levels, like I was just speaking to, of grinding, right? You know, you start with, you know, tier one is the first tank that you get to pilot. You pick your nationality of tank that you get to drive on several different maps, and you basically rank up. You earn credits to upgrade your tank, and then basically earn the ability to upgrade yourself to the next, you know, tier 2 or tier 3, whatever it is, all the way up to tier 10 of tanks. And you know, like Roy was just talking about in Destiny, they have these loops of grinding, these loops of ranking, these currency loops, where you earn different currencies to basically make yourself a better pilot. And yes, very much so, before chat jumps all over me, there is a lot of pay to win aspect to the game as well. But you know, at the end of the day, it's just these overlaying layers of making yourself a better tanker, so that you can become a more capable and more powerful tank pilot. So you know, I think, again, if we tie that back to how to take advantage of what you have in place already. Again, the parallel world of tanks. You have these multiple currencies that allow you to have capabilities, but there's still limitations that allow you to push it to the next level. I think, again, what we are able to do today as spaceship pilots, and earn credits, and like you say, even drive SRVs or own a fleet carrier, it is great. But once we have our boots on the ground and we're running around with a rifle and a pistol, you know, I think my vision, the way that I see this whole thing with Odyssey panning out, is we're going to see different types of missions that correlate to what we do in our spaceships today, whether it's, you know, reconnaissance or assault or what have you. That's going to feed into the same type of dynamic, just with us now being foot soldiers, and I think that will also contribute to us now being able to rank up and earn new abilities or new weapons or whatever it will be, as foot soldiers, very similar. And credits I think will still be okay, but we won't be able to use them unless we've achieved some other goal, and it may be another type of currency. It may be just like you said, a fetch mission. We're just gonna have to wait to see.
Okay. I get all of that. I thought, though, there was another thing in the pre-show where you were talking about with like an alternative currency, but you're just saying, like, you don't really necessarily even sort of need an alternative currency. Well, or let's put it this way: the alternative currency can just be a system of unlocks as you
Yeah, and none of
achieve
them are by
certain
no
sort
means
of goals
mandatory.
or
It's
missions
all
or
very much
whatever.
optional. It
I
depends
get
on the
that.
way
All
you
right.
want to play, and really it depends on how much you want to
Okay.
be the best that you can be. I'm sorry that I said that, but anyway, you know, you get what I'm saying. It's really just your way of enhancing your player experience.
I get it. So I dig that. That's an interesting, because I hadn't conceptualized that as an alternative currency, where it's like no alternative currency, just a stringent sort of detailed systems of sort of unlocks of, after X amount of Y type of mission, or after X performance evaluation on Y type of mission, you might unlock the ability to then spend the credits that are already trivial to gain Z new modification.
I think one other dimension to this that, of course, is totally unknown is how granular are the choices going to be around, say, guns? Is it going to be, uh, like some of the ship modules where there's an A through E, there's 5 guns, that's it? Or is it the minutia of, like 5 kinds of scopes and different barrels and different ammunition, and there's a rock, paper, scissors system, somewhat similar to how ships have shields and armor, and some weapons are good against one versus the other. Like that's in order for there to be fun in the journey
Yeah.
of unlocking these things, there needs to be a certain amount of
And you know,
content
Roy,
behind that
we've only
lock
been dwelling
that
on,
people can
on pistols and
differentiate their
rifles, but
experience
you know,
with.
you mentioned that, and immediately I went off into, well, what about armor, and what about rocket packs, and what about shields for your soldier, and what about
Yeah.
all the
Mhm. A different
exactly
type of helmet that has a
yeah.
different sort of visor system that has different layouts for like stealth or whatever. There could also
Well,
be stealth equipment like this armor has no extra armor rating, but it's much harder to pick up in hot situations, or this one is much harder to pick up in cold climates. Or you could have personal tech where it's like this wrist device, this wristcom device has extra features. Then you've also got landmines, you've got grenades, you've got all kinds of lock picks or hacking devices, personal hacking devices to access terminals, or hand tools for like, oh, this kind of personal mining device, or this kind of like, you could literally end up with a situation that's so granular that you're talking about like, oh, these are sort of remote cameras that like I can place here, and they have a high stealth value to them so that they don't get detected, and it's basically bugging this guy's place as part of a mission, or I'm accessing. There's so much stuff. Oh
well,
my
and that
god,
doesn't
there's so
even
much possibilities.
that doesn't even touch on the cosmetics, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a big thing in Warframe, the joke is fashion frame, and you also see this in Destiny with seasonal armor sets. There may be zero difference functionally, but
Mm-hmm.
people like it because it's got a cool thing on the shoulder, or the shape of the leg armor has a thing on it, and it's not just about paint jobs and maybe the equivalent of a ship kit on your body armor. It could be something associated with, like, I was a part of this mission sequence. It was a community goal, and part of the reward was this unique piece of armor, and it just looks different. All kinds of rabbit holes there.
Yeah, man. All right. I think, yeah, I'm interested. I'll be interested to hear also what people think about this as the entire subject. But this is an interesting and a meaty topic that I think we could do a dozen shows and argue round and round in circles and talk about all kinds of possibilities and get no closer to a final answer, but have a lot of fun. So let's definitely hear what people have to say about that. And the fourth and final of our sort of meaty discussion topics, and this one might actually be the meatiest of them. We've sort of hit on in some of the stuff here in this previous question, or what have you. All right, go with me here a little bit, guys, because I have a crazy off the wall, this just comes out of my head idea. In a previous version of Elite, they had a rank called Archangel that you could actually get by doing a specific mission. I think it was from Elite Frontier. What is it? Frontier FFE2, Frontier something Encounters 2, where you could get the rank of Archangel. And I have an idea of a status concept of Archangel, and here's the premise, or here's the question, sort of, that I think this answers. I think there's a fundamental issue with regard to Elite where you have a question of accessibility. You want the game to be super, super accessible to brand new players, to sort of entice them and hook them and to pull them through the process. But you end up with a situation where the old timers are like, man, this is stupid. Back in my day, you had to do this, that, and the other. And I remember I spent a month in my Cobra and I was saving up money until I could afford that Asp Explorer. And oh my God, it was such an achievement when I got it, and everything was awesome, and blah, blah, blah. And nowadays, you see these guys go from a Sidewinder to, an Anaconda in 8 hours. It's if they know what they're doing, and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, if I bought a second account and I go through the process of grinding it fast, you start off in your society, you just fly along to a Haz-Res, you just tag, or not a Haz-Res, a high res, You just tag what the cops are already shooting. You collect bounties. Then you go from there. You get yourself a little, a little hauler. You do Road to Riches for just a little bit. From there, you go into mining. You get the small ship. Then, you do a load in, say, an ASP, Explorer mining, and you can afford the Python. And then you do a load, 2 loads, 3 loads in the Python, and boom, before you know it, you can afford an Anaconda. And now you're elite in trading, and you've got 1 billion credits. You've unlocked Jameson's. Hoorah! And I think the record, Exegius had a thing where he did it in like 12 hours, and then someone else had done it in like 8 hours. And I think the record was Suvak, who did it in 6 hours. I know Harry Potter had gotten it to like 8 hours and like 30 minutes or whatever, but I think that Suvak guy did it in like 6 hours and like 12 minutes or something. And he streamed the whole thing. Like, it's legit. You can do it that fast. And I get where some of the older players are like, man, it's cheapened now. It's too easy. It's too fast. Yada, yada, yada. And so here's my idea of like, how do you sort of keep that level of accessibility to pull people in quickly, but also sort of make for a more meaningful and really sort of old school experience. And that is this. Once you hit triple elite, a commander can opt into the process to attain the rank of Archangel. Now, there's a couple of caveats here. Number one, just know going into this, you're throwing yourself into hard mode, so it is what it is. Number one, all advancement towards this title must be done in open only. You can't do it in solo. You can't do it in private group. You have to go out into the real world and do it. Number two, you start off with a Sidewinder, and you must advance in at least one of the 3 trees to a set level. So like you have to go from penniless to almost penniless or whatever. You have to get up to a certain level, and then that would unlock the next ship. You have to unlock each ship along the way, and it says, okay, it unlocks now the ability to like, okay, from Sidewinder, you can unlock a hauler if you're doing exploration, because I think a hauler would fit the categories of exploration as an upgrade. It would also fit the categories of trade. So like that could be a ship that exists in both of the trees, the trade tree and the exploration tree, as an upgrade from a sidey. And you go and you have to like spend time in there. And when you're doing this mode, when you're doing this method, your payouts, like it's an opt-in thing. You click the opt-in, and now your payouts are way, way lessened as far as what it keeps track of for your progression. And it kind of makes it like back players who just started playing back in 2015 or whatever, where it was much, much sort of harder and a longer process for them to advance to the next ship. Like, so the idea here is that you're going to spend maybe 4 days, maybe like 4 play sessions of 3 or 4 hours each, or 6 hours or 8 hours in a Sidewinder before you can move up to that next ship. Now, keep in mind, this entire process is opt-in. So let's say I am a player who I am triple elite. Let's say I, as a triple elite player, wants to start the process to attain Archangel. I can click to opt into it, and I can start grinding it out and doing it and playing the game on hard mode. That's what this is. I don't want to sugarcoat it. But let's say the next day, Fee is like, dude, Roy, let's go mining. Let's get in our cutters. Let's go blah, blah, blah. Or like, hey, let's all go do Hazreds and we'll fly around in 3 vets, just having fun or whatever. I can log into the game, and under the thing I can click like just make it a menu option. I can just click to say like, okay, this is not an Archangel, session. I'm just playing. Now I turn that off. I'm not gaining anything towards Archangel status. That's frozen. I'm just playing the game in regular mode, and I have access to all of my money and all of my ships, and I can do everything again. I can do whatever. And then the next day, I want to go back to grinding, doing the process of attaining Archangel. And it's not, this is not a thing that's going to be for everyone. I think there's a lot of people that are going to say, oh, I'm going to just skip that shit. I'm not doing it. And hey, more power to you. You play however makes you happy. But if there was a thing in here like this, I would do it, and I would spend time in each ship. And I think it would sort of put me in a position where, man, spending a week in a Viper, Viper Mark III, and it's like, oh man, I can't wait to get this unlock. This is gonna be great. Or spending 2 weeks in 2 or 3 weeks in your Type 6, and you're like, oh, I can't wait. I'm so close to unlocking that Type 7. It would sort of, to me, I feel like it would give each ship in the Elite Dangerous galaxy or universe sort of more weight, and you would have more appreciation for sort of all of the levels that the old school original players sort of had, that a lot of, I think, the new players sort of skip, where you just move. Oh, I saw a guide and I got this ship, then Anaconda, and it's like, okay, so the third ship you've had in the game, and and you bought it within 20 hours of gameplay was an Anaconda. Okay, whatever. So that's the idea of, you would have to hit certain metrics, and they would be hard to attain. They would require work, and it would basically sort of put you in a position where you spent quality time in each ship, each of the possible ships, and maybe as a okay, yeah, you already have your engineers unlocked, so you can fly them around and engineer them. So that still is going to give you a little bit of a benefit, a boost. But you're going to spend time. You're not just going to go, all right, I want to go trade. I'm hopping in my Type 9. Like, you're going to start in a Type 6 and work your way up. So this is an idea. And then part of the concept of Archangel is you would unlock each ship. Once you have unlocked all of the ships, then it would put you into a sort of, how do I say this? It would put you into a situation of, now you are in a general unlock. You're not trying to unlock the ships anymore. You've got all those boxes ticked. Now you have to like put your name on one of each type of star, like, or one of each type of body. So like a gas world, a water world, a this world, or that world, a black hole, a neutron star. You can go out there and do all of those. Like, you have to have one unique of, I found one of this, I found one of this, I found one of this. You have to visit Beagle Point. You have to visit Sag-A. You have to visit Colonia. You have to do these things on the exploration side. On the combat side, you have to do X amount of combat bonds. You have to do X amount of bounties. You have to do X amount of has res, low res, high res, low res, medium res, high res, has res. You have to do X amount of anti-Xeno combat. You have to participate. You don't have to solo, but you have to participate in at least one kill of each of the variants of the interceptor types of, like, okay, I got a Hydra, I got a Medusa, I got this, I got that. All of the different types. You have to. So people who are looking to attain Archangel status, my concept here is, you're playing the game in hard mode, and this is not trivial. This is something that would take you a year, maybe longer, of playtime to access. And once you've done all of that, now you unlock, instead of it saying, Commander Fee, Commander Roy, Commander Kaizen, it would say Archangel Fee, Archangel Roy, Archangel Kaizen. And you would have sort of a different icon in your chat thing. and you would have access to maybe, I don't know, a different bobblehead, different paint jobs. Maybe you have a unique Archangel only SRV kit where it's like it has no stats different than the SRV you have now, but it has a different look to it. And when people see you driving around Dab's Hope, they'd be like, holy shit, that's an Archangel. It is a status symbol. It is not enhancing your gameplay. It is not offering you any advantages in gaining credits in mining or whatever. This is a whole different thing. This is about the spirit of those people who really want to experience the fullness of the game and not just sort of whiz right by and hit sort of, okay, I did this ship, and now I only ever fly my Python for things where I need a medium pad, my cutter for my money stuff, and my vet for my combat stuff, and that's all I fly. Like, no, this would be putting you in a position of, I think, sort of forcing you as a player. And again, this is opt-in only. I'm not suggesting this is a thing they should add and make people do. This is a thing that people who want to do should be able to challenge themselves with and put you in a position where you really sort of you really have to experience it all as it was sort of originally designed. All right. I feel like I just hit you guys all with the book. Whoever wants to jump in first, Roy, Fee, whoever, jump in and let's mix it up. What do you think? And I'm sure I'm looking at the chat and I'm seeing the people who are like, man, this is, a bad idea. I don't want this. Okay. It's not for you. And it doesn't have to be for you. It's an idea that is the whole concept is it could require very little developer time to sort of say, okay, we've just added, tons of games have achievements. I've added an achievement list, and now sort of, and tons of games have hard mode. I've added a hard mode to the game. I've added an achievement list. Now, run with it. See what you want to do.
I think this is a great idea, and I have a lot of questions.
Okay, hit me.
Look, in a sandbox game like this, I think some commanders are doing parts of this idea by following their own sort of what we've called in the past headcanon.
I agree.
And there's two major pieces of this. One being playing the game in a way that could be more rewarding and being sort of constrained into playing it that way. Because you can choose to, I and others have done things like, you get enough money from mining pretty quickly on. I've chosen not to buy all the most expensive ships, and I'm making myself do things with lesser ships and try to have different kinds of fun that way. I went on the Distance Cruise expedition in a Cobra Mark IV. Not the best ship for that. Was a lot of fun. In a game when you can triumph over a variety of constraints, that can generate fun, and that's one of the obvious reasons for playing any game. The other half of it is, as you just mentioned, achievements, and so it sort of brings up the question: is the merit of this, is what's driving this, having all the, let's call it the bling that you get at the end? Or would it be something that you get these things along the way and it's more of a progressive system of things you're unlocking, so you can be sort of, people would recognize that you've reached, the second tier of the five tiers of reaching Archangel status. Maybe that's a thing.
Yeah, I think these are all cool. I hadn't envisioned that. I had originally, as I was, and just to be clear, this is a situation of, while I was working today, this was an idea that went through my head. It started off with me saying, I think I've heard a lot of people that are saying, like, man, people that start playing the game now, they miss out on blah, blah, blah. I think maybe I want to start a challenge for myself, personally, to go get a Sidewinder, engineer it, and spend, whatever, a week or maybe, 2-3 days, two play sessions in a Sidewinder doing missions and stuff, and then a Hauler and spend 2 or 3 days, and then a Viper 2 or 3 days, an Eagle 2 or 3 days, a Cobra Mark III 2 or 3 days, and sort of go through the process and really sort of experience it all to have. Because I mean, honestly, I couldn't tell you what it's really like to play in a Cobra. Because I mean, I got a Cobra and I flew around in it, I dinked around in it, and was like,
It's a gateway ship.
Cool. But like, I didn't spend time. And for players who started playing in 2015, it wasn't a gateway ship as much as it was, it was it was like the idea, like just earlier today, how Mgram had said there's a difference between sort of the gold rush and the meta. It wasn't now it's sort of, if anything, it's one that most people skip over, but I think it's if anything, it's a gold rush ship. If they touch it at all, it's a gold rush ship. And I feel like it should be a meta. It should be one that they get time. They spend time. And that's the ship of fucking John Jameson, man. They should spend time behind that stick and like really sort of like, yeah, man, I have fond memories of my combat time, in a Cobra. And as Allison is saying, man, it should literally be like, hey, you get this decals or paint jobs or whatever for like, hey man, I killed 300 NPCs in a Cobra, or I traded 800 tons of commodities in a Cobra. Like, if you have things like that you really sort of know it well, I think it changes and flavors your enjoyment of the whole thing. So this is a half-baked idea. It started with me thinking I want to do this for myself. And then I thought about it and I was like, man, I think there's a lot of other people. Again, not even the majority of people. I think if anything, if 5% of the people said, oh, fuck yeah, that sounds exciting, I think that would be great. Look at how much time and effort and work they put into fleet carriers, and that's 5% of the population. And this, I think, because it's literally just setting up challenge like achievements as they have in other games. I don't think it's this is the worst thing a non fucking programmer can say, but it's like, I don't think it would be all that hard to add some achievements and say like, hey, just tie this to that. But like, okay, I fully am willing to admit that it may be that hard. I don't know, but I feel like for the amount of effort that they would have to put into it, for the people that chose to go through this process, it would so enrich the entire experience of Elite Dangerous, to the extent of like what's the difference between, for somebody who's like, oh, okay, I want to learn how to cook, right? I'm cooking is my new hobby. I'm going to get into it. Cooking. I'm all excited, right? What's the difference between sort of saying, okay, I have a hamburger patty that I bought pre-made that it's just like it's hamburger patty in a box, and I got 2 pieces of bread, and I got a slice of cheese, and I've got these pre-sliced, onions and tomato or whatever, as opposed to, okay, I bought hamburger, I like ground it up, I added in these seasonings, I've added in some Worcestershire sauce, whatever, I made the fucking lumpy, misshapen fucking patty and cooked it, as opposed to like the pre-cut, exactly, patty shaped whatever thing. It's just, I feel like both of those are the process of, I made a hamburger at home. One of those, though, is sort of the cheap and easy method that gets and I think deserves a lot less respect, and one of them is a much more sort of holistic, like, I experienced, I did a thing for realsies, not the bullshit method. I don't know. So yeah, this just started off as an idea, and then if you tie it to an achievement, there are people that will do anything for an achievement. And I like your idea, your addition to the idea, Roy, of like, hey man, it doesn't have to just be you get it all at the end. You get the Archangel title at the end, but you could get little bits and pieces along the way. You could get, you know, a sticker for this type of ship, or you could get this kind of paint job, or you get this kind of a thing, and it's like, oh, he's at level 3 of 5. Oh my god, he's got level 4 of 5. Holy shit, do you see this guy? They only put this thing into this game 7 months ago, and this crazy asshole already has Archangel. Like, whoa, like that could be awesome too, and it could sort of really egg people along. And I think part of my idea of saying like it has to be an open, I live my life in open. I literally have been mining low temperature diamonds in open. It's just what I do. I don't do solo mode anymore. I just don't. And I think people that don't play in open, and first off, if you want to play in solo or you want to play in private group only, man, that's your right. You go have fun, you do your thing. I'm not telling you how to do it. But I will say that it's not as dangerous for the most part as you think, and it's more rewarding and more fun and more interesting for the most part than you think. Fee. Or Roy, were you done with your questions, or was that?
Yeah,
I'll let
I
Fee
think
go.
my
And then,
takeaway
I
from
have
this
Come
entire
back. Yeah,
side
for sure. We'll come back.
Ideas after
I've got
listening
two
to Fee.
different viewpoints.
Sure.
The first viewpoint is, I'd really, again, I went the adorable route, and I thought through what this could mean, and the creative approach to this entire thing is, you get triple elite, you get through everything that you've accomplished in the game. You've killed more Thargoid scouts than you care to consider. You have done all your trade missions. You've been to SAG-A back and forth more than once. You've made full elite across the board, and you decide to opt into Archangel. And holy crap, that entire thing was just a simulation. That's why telepresence was a thing, and now this is the real deal. Now you are on your way to Archangel, and oh no, you have to do all this grind over again. And now there's this whole similar path that you just went through to get triple elite in the simulation and in telepresence mode that you now have to do in real life. And yes, there will be glory, there will be honor, there will be regard and respect amongst your peers, but yes, you are going to have to do all this other grind that perhaps you just got done doing, and then some, and fight to get the ships that you have already been enjoying and flying in that simulation that you just got through. But it will very much be a prestige point. So I am torn in this concept, and it's definitely something that I'd like to see the community and everybody kind of run with and see how it could possibly pan out.
Okay.
So,
Well, go ahead.
I was just going to say, one thing that made me think of, this always happens, you come up with some great ideas and it makes me think of something else. The concept you just brought up about like, you sort of come out of this simulation and it turns into something else. I look to other games when these sorts of questions come up and say like, what have other games done that worked? Achievements are in games because they work, because people go after them. It gives a different kind of purpose to play, a different kind of structure. In addition, people apparently like to have things in a game that allows them to show off their exploits to other people, whether it's a title or a badge or whatever. And then I would also say, and I won't mention the name of the game, I don't want to spoil it, but I've played a game where there was a major reveal, like what you just described, that
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
That the community of that game is actually very excellent about not spoiling. And it is so awesome because you don't get to that point in the game until you put a fair amount of work into it. So, and then it actually transforms the whole game. So
I'm gonna spoil it now and tell everybody. If you played Titanic, the video game, at the end the boat sinks.
But yeah, I don't want to give away too much of that. But the point is
I got
that
you.
that structure absolutely works. It absolutely works, and maybe it is because this is a coming up on 6 years old game at some point that it didn't have look, there's been billions spent in the gaming industry, and a part of that is producers understanding gaming psychology and what makes games fun. That's a constantly improving thing. And now achievements are a given in gaming systems. Destiny has titles where every season you can get a new title by going through a checklist of do this raid, do these things, do this many of this and that and the other thing. It's a very rich and developed system, and they put the effort into it because it works. It makes the game more fun. So this is also why, as you were telling this idea, Kai, I was thinking of EDSM, the badges in EDSM. Why are they there? When I first saw that, I thought, isn't that going to feel kind of like not real because it's a side website? Like, what does it have to do with, it's not in the game, so it sort of feels somewhat less authentic. But once I started using it, and they'll send you if you've got an account on EDSM, you get these emails, telling you of your exploits for the last 2 weeks and what badges you've earned, and how many of a certain kind of star you've visited. And for me, that's it just feels like part of the game, as many of the third-party tools do now. So I almost wonder if you couldn't simulate a lot of what you've described, portions of it in something like an EDSM type thing that feeds off of the API and tracks your exploits. It wouldn't give you the bling, right? That's the piece that would be missing, is you wouldn't have you could certainly have those things show up on your profile in EDSM or whatever, but
you're right. You're 100% right. And to be clear, there already are sort of achievements in this game. When you get billions of credits, you can get a fleet carrier. That's an achievement. When you grind enough rank, you can get a cutter or a vet. That's an achievement. When you get triple elite, you have the triple elite stuff. That's an achievement. Or when you get to an elite, you unlock Jameson. That's an achievement. There definitely are. I was just talking about sort of a more like a bigger achievement, and one that sort of follows you every which way, in that it literally it doesn't matter if you're doing PvP and you're in a fertile lance, if you're doing whatever, if you're just flying FA off and tooling around in canyons in your 932 meters per second Mark III, or in your Fetty Eagle, because everybody knows that the flight assist off Fetty Eagle is way better than the Imp Eagle. It's a situation of yeah, man, you still have that Archangel tag on your name or whatever. Now, I want to be clear, because I see something coming up in chat. I strongly feel that this is a thing that should be tied to open only, that this should not be a thing that is for solo mode or whatever. But that's just my opinion. Allison in the chat is saying, I dig it, I like it, I love everything you said except for the open thing. Open only is a hard no for me. I only do open when I'm fuel ratting. That's it. Hey, I have my opinion, but that's the beautiful thing about all this. I think that we might find many, many people that are the whole concept is a big no for me. And we might find other people who say the concept is a big yes for me, but that open only part, I'm not doing it. Or the concept is a big yes for me, except for the part where you talk about limiting the credits to the pre whatever version of the credit earning. that is a no for me. Or, hey, all of it that you just said is great, except for I hate exploring. I am never going out. There's some people that they're like, man, I've played this game for thousands of hours. I don't leave the bubble. I did it once to go unlock Palin, and that's it. I don't leave the bubble. Okay, fine. I want to hear from all of you, sort of your thing. There's people out there that are like, man, I'll do exploring all day. I'll do trading. I'll do all this stuff. I'm not doing AX combat. I don't like it. It scares me. It's whatever. Okay, fine. I want to hear from you, your versions. I have my strong feelings, but these are not strong feelings of like, I have to have this or I'm out. It's just like, man, I really feel that it should be this way. But I respect the fact that there are other people out there. They're going to say, man, I just think you're dead wrong on this thing because I like A, B, and C, but D is a hard no for me. Okay, cool. Like, let's mix it up. Let's talk about your ideas, because in the end, you know, Bruce or Tim or Steven or Arthur may hear this and say like, oh, let's look into this. That's a good idea. Man, I agree with that Allison. She seems like a smart cookie. I think all of that's good, except for we're definitely not gonna make the, open only part of it or whatever. In which case, hey, I can still do the same thing you guys do, and I can just choose to do it in open if I want to challenge myself in a different way than you. Like, this is not a situation of my ideas are king and everybody else must bow down or get the hell out. Like, no, man, there's room for all opinions, and I don't know. But I like the idea of just having a thing that sort of brings more spice to the game and takes the existing thing you already have and gives you a loop, an additional gameplay loop that is so much more in depth, that is, hard mode, or is, much more challenging, and puts you in a spot of, because there's a lot of times where it's like, hey man, I have billions of credits, I could just buy any ship, I could get it right now, so go do it. Yes, that's true, but you don't sort of have the experience of like having to fly that Type 6 until you get to the 7. Imagine being excited about a Type 7. Like, right now, I can't get my head into that spot. I don't
I
even
love
fly the
Type
Type
7. Bite your tongue. That's an amazing ship.
Yeah, what I'm saying though is, when you have a cutter, it's hard. When you have access to that cutter, it's just hard to force yourself to get excited for the 7. But if you don't have it and you earn it, then when you're in the 6 and lusting after the 7 and you get it, it's like, oh, thank God. Or when you get the 7 and you move up to the 9, you're like, oh, or shit, just the 6. When you're in that hauler and you're looking at the 6 and you're like, one day, if I keep working, I can get that Type 6. Like, I just dig the idea of giving all of it a little more meaning, a little more weight, a little more, because like, we're gamers, and gamers will skip shit and be lazy and take the shortcuts whenever possible, but gamers will also do the impossible if you add a fucking achievement to it. And like, I'll be honest, like, yeah, I want an achievement too. So like, I don't know, I think I think it's a concept that it could be a very big bang for their buck if Frontier were to put a small amount of investment of dev dollars and hours into it. They don't have to change really sort of any of the. It's not like I'm saying, hey man, just invent core mining. That took work. This is just take the existing stuff, make it harder, and put unlocks on ships, and then make a list of achievements and say you have to get them all to get the fucking carrot at the end of the stick. And like, I don't know. So I hope this gave you guys some thought. That's going to be community question number 3. Definitely weigh in on your thoughts on Archangel. A, I hate the whole thing. B, I love the whole thing. C, I love a lot of it, I want to change this. Or D, hey, that was a cool idea, here's a way better one. Like, hit me up with any of it. I'm looking forward to it. And all of this you can do at the Elite Week Discord. You can do it in the comment section. You can write in to eliteweek at gmail, or excuse me, eliteweek3306 at gmail.com. All of it. I really want to get sort of the viewer engagement and listener engagement up on this, and start a conversation about these 3 topics. Or if there's just a whole other thing where it's like, man, I got this that I want to talk about, I think this about the show, or man, add a section for that, or whatever. Like, let's get into it. Let's really, let's mix it up. So I want to run through real quick before we do state of the game and wrap it up, because I know you got some cool stuff on state of the game. I want to real quick run through. Holy crap! I'm looking at the list here. We've got like 5 versions of this stream up. We're going to clean that up here very, very shortly. All right. So to get into this engagement, you've got right here in the YouTube, which if you're listening to it on podcast and you're like, where's the YouTube? tinyurl.com/Elite Week 3306. If you're listening to it on the YouTube and you're like, I want it on the podcast, tinyurl.com/Elite Week Podcast. The Gmail, like I said, is eliteweek3306@gmail.com. If you want to tweet me, that's a thing now. Twitter.com/KAI19103. No spaces, just KAI19103. The Discord is tinyurl.com/Elite Week Discord. No spaces, no underscores, no nothing. Just Elite Week Discord, all scrunched up as one word. And
I never thought that in one episode of this podcast, not only would you be calling me adorable and talking about my love of leg warmers, which is not a thing. I do not have a love for leg warmers except on the legs of Olivia Newton-John.
For the package that you got today.
Tell
us all about it. I'm excited.
I've had a great day and kind of a cool week as it relates to my own personal rig for Elite and other games. First off, I'll start with what I tinkered with over the past week or so is the VMX add-on for voice attack. I think everybody has heard of the HCS tools voice packs where you can have Mr. Worf or Mr. Data or any number of actors give you feedback related to game events. What I found out, and I'll probably post in the chat, and maybe we can add something in the show notes, is an additional music pack that you can get called VMX that gives you more relevant or enhancements to the existing game music with music from our old friend Miguel Johnson as well as Angel to the ongoing game, and this is very cool. Again, I've been playing with it over the course of the week. There's several different music packs that you can download. They are at a cost, so it's not free. But again, it very much adds additional immersion to the game with voice attack as you play the game and as you go through different events, getting to enjoy those tracks from those artists as you're playing the game. But above and beyond that, this afternoon, Mr. UPS showed up in my driveway with an Oculus Rift S. So I've just started to dip my toe into that pond as well. I will tell those of you that have not experienced VR, my first experience, I even let my wife sit in the cockpit very briefly in the seat of one of my ships, and she also was blown away. The experience in VR with this game is absolutely mind-blowing. 2D does not do it justice. I'm really looking forward to not only getting all of that tweaked and set up the way that I want to, but even sharing that with you all on the stream. So that's really been my week with the stream. Beyond that, just kind of still playing with the fleet carrier and messing with that, making sure that I earn my 14 million a week to keep up with the upkeep, and just kind of chilling out. So that's been my week with Elite. They are in stock with a third party on Newegg now. It is a couple dollars more, but they are actually showing as in stock now. Yeah, it's not terrible. It's not eBay
That's a little
expensive.
weak.
It's a little bit very reasonable.
I want that headset.
Interesting. Very cool.
Roy?
Yeah, so I've been riding the tsunami in BGS. It's a lot of fun. It's like I said, as exciting as it is, I'm sure there's a lot of people pulling their hair because it's now on top of the sort of mystery of what it is people think is supposed to happen. There's just chaos. You know, I've seen it compared to like a runaway train or a dumpster fire. There's systems where things just seem out of control, and it's had both good and bad outcomes in a variety of situations. But it's a lot of fun, right? It's a weird constraint. Really curious to see how it's gonna shake out. And then on top of that, having fun with the fleet carrier. Finding new and interesting ways to use that with BGS. It's just a whole new way to play the game. It's a lot of fun. So I'm enjoying it.
It reminds me of that Chinese curse. May you live in interesting times.
Yeah.
These are most assuredly interesting times for BGS players, for sure. All right. Well, guys, I want to give a shout out to ThatEnglishGent. At the top of the show, we talked about how he was the guy that discovered the 4 times LTD, which is kind of meh. It's a little like weak on the bend on the 4th time, but it's exciting just because it's like 4 times. Nobody's ever found that's been published before. But in that same ring is the fat 3-time LTD that has very high yield rates. That is actually, like, god damn, it's a great find. So that guy, ThatEnglishGent, popped into the chat and is here with us now. So I just wanted to give him a special shout out as well before we wrap up the show. Guys, we've been going for about 2 hours. I think we did a good show. We had a fairly decent wrap up of the news of the week, and we definitely hit, I think, some interesting, meaty
I think,
sort of
again,
discussion points of like, man,
just a
what about
touch,
this? What about that?
We're
And
going to
I'm
look to
looking
start
forward
at
to
8
hearing
p.m. Eastern time.
people tell me
hoping
how
to polish
I'm
some
wrong
of the
on these
technical
ideas,
turds
how
that we've
their
been dealing
ideas
with,
are better, and I want to
get rid of them as we move forward here, so that we
it's
can
good stuff.
get
So,
a fairly routine schedule that you, the
is there
listeners,
anything
can be
else that you want
accustomed
to say
to. But
before
no,
we
beyond
wrap
that,
up, Fee?
again, great show. Really enjoyed the discussion, and really looking forward to seeing what everybody comes back with all the homework that you've given them.
Yes.
For the discussion over the next week. So yeah, good stuff. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's your adorable overlord.
Fee? Or I'm sorry, Roy?
Yeah, I for one salute our new engineering overlord. I'm looking very much forward to that. And yeah, I very much enjoyed the topics tonight. So thanks for that.
Right. Guys, don't forget, click on the like button, click subscribe, the bell, all of the things. It's a thing. Go do that. If you're watching it on YouTube, if you're listening to it on the podcast, please throw us a review. That would be awesome. I'm going to start pulling out and looking to see reviews that we have. Also, you can feel free to either hit me up with the ping in the Discord or on Gmail or in the comment section saying like, hey, I reviewed this on iTunes or I reviewed this on whatever, because sometimes I'm going to have to go look, like, because if you're on like, oh, I'm on iTunes in Europe, or oh, I'm on iTunes in Australia, I'm going to have to like go and like search it out. You can't just go into American iTunes and it pulls that up. You're going to have to like search it out wherever it is. And I want to make sure that we sort of give a shout out to 5-star reviews that we get, and thumbs up. Thumbs up I won't see, but like as people write comments that are cool or whatever, then I want to make sure that we highlight those. The questions, the 3 community questions, which you can go to the Discord, the Elite Week Discord, and you can post on there. your response in the community question, whatever, feedback of the week channel. It's there under the text channels. It's got a little icon of a calendar. Question number 1, your thoughts on balancing for dynamic gold rushes. Question number 2, what do you think may be an open thread? Something that we, that if you look, it's like, oh, that's hiding in plain sight. We didn't even, because we weren't thinking Elite Feet, we didn't know about that. But now, yeah, SRV, or, oh, yeah, ship stealing, or the nanomeds, things that could be cool threads. And question number 3 is your thoughts on the whole concept of Archangel. So hit us up, and if you want to throw in something different completely, your own bonus thing of like, hey, I like this, or hey, I want that, hit us up and let us know. Thanks, guys. Have a great night. And we're going to play you out this one here, actually, as the outro music.
Careful where
This
you click.
one is dedicated to Phoenix Defier, Colin Ford of Lave Radio. He's just been jamming out on that power play for Arissa Lavinia Duvall. So I want to have a little something to serenade him with here. So let's see. Let me go down to the right channel. Let me find it. There we go. And let's go ahead and mute, and I'm going to start playing it now.